be enticed to play for Manchester United. He wouldn't have the pulling power. He'll be a failure to be at Manchester United. Abby is a Manchester United fan in Glasgow. Matthew says, a great show again. For me, Southgate is the next Crystal Palace manager, potentially European football again next year, has potential to do similar to what Emery has done at Villa and take them into top 4 contention. Supportive chairman and his former club, says Matt in Glasgow.
That's the level. That is the level. And that's not disrespectful. I think it'd be a good fit.
He's had a good old freak out.
Count to 10 addicts.
Yeah. He's not a happy boy there. Because you asked him.
No, I'm not happy boy because you didn't want to have the same debate we've had over and over again, and then you had the same debate we've had over and over again. I tried to.
You two did. I told you not to do that, but you did it anyway.
But as well, on a serious note, though, how much does Gareth Southgate want to manage?
Well, that's one of the key
really
questions, actually.
Then, like.
Because I've always had the impression that he doesn't want to go back into it unless it's a job that he cannot turn down.
Yes.
Because the pressure was so high on him. And I remember speaking to him after he'd resigned from England and he was over in on a holiday, chilling out, and he was like, I've got absolutely no desire to come back. No desire. I just need the time off.
I can imagine it's a lot of pressure.
All that pressure. It's all the pressure, all the attention. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. Your whole life is completely ensconced in analysing players and thousands of them over the course of the year.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink is gutted. His former club Chelsea had to limp on with 10 men at the Emirates.
Arsenal didn't play well. They got the 3 points. That's really what a champion does.
So Arsenal 5 points clear, go to Brighton on Wednesday. Man City have a game in hand and host Nottingham Forest. Meanwhile, what does Hasselbaink make of Chelsea's record 9th red card of the season?
Naivety. I think it's being young. I think also, I think there have to be a little bit more structure.
Liam Rossina admits Chelsea's ill-discipline could cost them a Champions League spot. Now, Igor Tudor is accusing Raul Jimenez of cheating, and he called Thomas Bramall a home referee. But Tottenham podcaster Ricky Sachs questions the players' mentality and Tudor's tactics.
You know, we've gone winless in 10 in the Premier League. We've conceded 2+ goals in the last 8 games, a new club record. You know, there's no team that can survive given that run rate.
Spurs' 10th defeat on the spin at Fulham leaves them 4 points off the bottom 3. The head of Iran's FA has cast doubt on whether they will go to the World Cup. It's after the country's supreme leader was killed in strikes by USA and Israel. Meanwhile, Serena Wigman's Lionesses are in close contact with the government. They're in Turkey to play Ukraine in a World Cup qualifier. Jose Mourinho says Gianluca Prestiani's Benfica career is over if he's found guilty of racist abuse. Prestiani denies the allegations. And if Jesse Lingard passes his Corinthians medical in Sao Paulo today, he'll become the first Englishman to play in Brazil's top flight. Lingard, a free agent after leaving Korea, will join his former Man United teammate Memphis Depay at Corinthians. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
More than 100,000 people have registered to be evacuated from the Middle East, and armed police in Edinburgh respond to reports of a man with a bladed weapon. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Whatever the winter weather, Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres. Guaranteed for 25,000 miles. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
In the west, patchy outbreaks of rain with brisk winds. Drier in the east with bright spells. Average temperatures and turning more settled through the week.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. So with the title running in both of their hands, who gives you more confidence as we approach this vital time in the season? Arsenal or Manchester City? Meanwhile, defeats all round. Does anybody actually want to grab Premier League survival? Also today, was there a concerning lack of tolerance at Elland Road? Can Michael Carrick do no wrong? Are the stars aligning for Hearts in Scotland? Record-breaking midfielder James Milner will join the show. And can countries come together on the pitch whilst they fight against each other off it? It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we're live in talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Bonjour, Monsieur Petit.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Emmanuel Petit is in our midst. You see, Emmanuel, World Cup winner, sitting there ready to go at 1 minute to 10, and then in he comes. In he comes.
You see that?
Yeah. Having spoken to everybody on the way into the building. Good morning. Oh, Simon's here. Then he comes in, takes his seat. You and I are all ready and professionally ready to go. What does he do?
I don't look after him because he looks happy. So.
Thank you. He gets to see you once a month. I get the displeasure of seeing you every morning. So if he was here every morning, he'd be strolling in about 11:45.
And to get you in a really good mood, I was down at Brighton yesterday.
Were you?
And none of them were asking for you.
Good.
It was great. Well done. And James Milner, oh my good God, 655 Premier League appearances. A lovely presentation for him in the boardroom afterwards. Tony Bloom and Paul Barber.
Did he get his own bench?
655 Premier League appearances. It's not bad, Emmanuel, is it? It's not bad.
Such a huge achievement, He's such a nice guy on top of it. So
yeah,
full of respect for his career. Yeah, totally.
Fantastic. Good morning to Nick and Josh, two of the many Brighton fans who came up to speak to me yesterday. You spoke to me at the station on the way back up. I'll mention one or two of you more throughout the morning just to annoy Simon. How have you been?
Good.
Absolutely. Yes. Indeed. Anything football related over the weekend, or were you playing more paddle? What were you up to?
No, I was doing none of the above.
None of the above. Okay, we're going to have to coax it out of him. Yeah, I can tell it's going to be one of these mornings, Emmanuel. As for you, Emmanuel Petit, you were at the Emmanuel Petit derby, were you not? Arsenal versus Chelsea, and you enjoyed it because,
of course,
Arsenal won it.
Big derbies, yeah. Yesterday, I think the most important from the game yesterday is the 3 points, because it was not romantic to watch, and I'm pretty sure that it was not easy as well to play. The tension on the pitch, you could feel it, on both teams. It was a must-win game for both teams yesterday. So it's never easy, to play big derbies like this, especially a very good team like Chelsea, because they have weakness, but they have so many good and strong players that can make differences.
Yeah. Out of interest, where does your heart truly lie between these two?
Well, obviously, I've been more successful with Arsenal, and my relationship with the fans are totally different. But I really like as well the Chelsea fans. Someone asked me the question yesterday. My answer was very clear and honest. I said, I feel sometimes, bad, about the feeling that some Chelsea fans have about me, because when I came to the club, I was at the end of my career. I was having a lot of troubles with my knee, except the first season when I think I was at a good level. They were expecting me to be the Emmanuel Petit from Arsenal, and I was not that close. And that was, for me, something difficult to cope with.
Yeah. Simon, 9 games to go. The title technically in both of their hands. Who gives you more confidence as we approach the run-in, Arsenal or Manchester City?
Depends which narrative you want to run. If you want to run the narrative that Pep Guardiola's won the Premier League with a different set of players, albeit there's still some consistent faces in there, you can run that and say, well, they've got the experience and know-how, so they should be ultimately the Man City machine that hunts down other teams. Not the same team. Don't play the same way. Don't have the same capabilities that previous sides have had. And if you look at the other narrative that Arsenal are inexperienced, I look at both teams and think both teams. I mean, Leeds gave Man City a hell of a fright. They were in that game. I mean, if Calvert-Lewin scores in the first 5 minutes, it might be a different game. He misses a sitter.
Yeah.
So I don't think they sauntered past Leeds. I think they were in a difficult game at Leeds, and Arsenal were against a highly competitive, highly invested in Chelsea. So the fact that it might not have been what everyone thinks it should be, some wonderful game of football, which very rarely these games with a big size play against one another is a wonderful game of football. Every now and again you get the exception. Arsenal won. They did the job. Free kicks, corner kicks, who cares? They win football matches. They beat Spurs last week. They beat Chelsea this week. 2 London derbies, which can take their own life. They're a difficult game to play in London derbies, as he will attest to. Job done. I look at Arsenal and say, it's yours to lose.
Yeah. Entertainment value, does it matter at this stage?
No.
Emmanuel?
I mean, if you ask this question to the player, they will respond to you very clearly, saying that we prefer, to win games beautifully, with a romantic part. But I spoke with some fans yesterday, and one of them was already there, when we won the double in 1998. And he asked me, he said, do you remember the game we won at Highbury? It was a frozen night, winter night. It was a game in hand against Bolton, and you scored the only goal, and we won 1-0. And I looked at him and said, yeah, I remember very well because we won ugly that night. And he said, yeah, definitely. So at the end of the day, do you remember what it means to win a title? You cannot, it's not the perfect road, It's not, you are not going to win every single games beautifully. That's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's a bit of snobbery at the moment towards Arsenal, Emmanuel? Winning games by corner kicks, etc.
Throw-in, free kicks,
Throw-ins,
corner kicks,
set pieces.
Yeah. I know that's 21 goals, from the start of the season.
Yeah.
Almost half of it. But it's part of the game, no? Right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was the 9th time.
It was already important back in days, 25 years ago. So it was, on the top level.
Nothing's changed.
When individuals cannot make differences, you try to find another way. So, as I said, there is not only one road that leads to Rome. There is so many roads, So
Sure thing. Yeah. I mean, it was the 9th time Arsenal's winning goal in the league had been achieved via a corner kick this season. As far as Mikel Arteta was concerned, they've got this ability to find a way, and that's important.
Trying to stay calm, but obviously we weren't getting the dominance and the sequences of play that we wanted and expected against the 10 men. So you have to navigate through that, and it's a big part of the game. And when you see the manner how the teams are winning games, everybody's suffering. The manners and the margins are so small. So it's good.
Emmanuel, are you remaining confident that this is Arsenal's time?
My mind didn't change at all. I'm quite frustrated, when I talk with Arsenal fans about that, especially this morning when I came here and talkSPORT. We have so many Arsenal fans here. I won't name it because I think they will recognize themselves. But yeah,
don't name producer Luke.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah,
yes,
you name it. So
yeah, don't tell him your name, Pike.
No, I mean, as you said, history, belongs to City. They have won so many trophies.
Well, this is it.
Yeah, but this is the main difference. And this is what I said yesterday to Ian Wright and Glenn Hoddle, on stage. I said, guys, do you remember the first time you won something important? Do you remember how it was difficult, the pressure and the stress you feel before winning something important? So the most difficult trophy you can earn in your career is the first one. So this is it. So if you make the comparison with City and Arsenal, of course, it belongs to City. But one day it will change. Arsenal is going to win something. So the environment around Arsenal has to change, definitely. I was at the stadium yesterday, and the last 15 minutes, if I was on the pitch, I could feel, the environment from the ground. There was silence. They were scared. So, I mean, this is the time that those moments, they need to feel your support. They need you behind.
Yeah.
And they didn't respond. So, the Arsenal fan, my message is very clear. Support your team until the end. Believe they're capable of winning the title. You have to send strong messages, good energy, good vibes.
Because the Arsenal fans, Simon, from what Emmanuel's saying, might not be loud at this particular time, and that might cost the boys on the pitch.
Maybe. In the end, the players have to win football matches, not the fans. It's helped by the environment that you create. The desire to win something might be seeping into an apprehension about how you're doing it and the manner in which you're doing it and the games that you're individually participating in that are not cut and dry. You're not walking away winning 3 and 4-0. You have a nervous game against Chelsea. It's upon the fans to have a bit more confidence, a bit more belief, and be strong and resolute in their own thinking rather than sort of easily swayable by one result to the next. Arsenal are in control of their own destiny. They may not be in control of their own destiny if they go and lose at the Etihad, but that game will be that game. And beyond that, all Arsenal can do is control the controllables. And the fans, and their part of it is believe you're one of the best football clubs in Europe. You have a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
Every time I listen to an Arsenal fan, you have a sense of entitlement about what you're entitled to. So make sure that sense of entitlement manifests itself in positive reinforcement rather than apprehension, which then spreads to the team and gives the team an excuse.
Yeah.
I have a comparison to make. You mentioned, City, they won ugly against Leeds. Huh?
Yeah.
Do you remember the last 15 minutes? The pressure from the crowd? How they put, the energy behind
the Leeds
the players.
fans,
It was unbelievable to hear, on TVs.
That's what you want to hear from them.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
But there's also a different cultural thing in that situation. Leeds are an underdog. Man City are rolling into town. They're the biggest football club in English football in the last 10 years because they've won everything. So Leeds coming against Man City, you're going to get that feel from the fans because their team are laying a glove on them. Their team are actually going toe-to-toe with these so-called immortals. That's why you get that reaction.
And of course,
from
at this
Leeds fans.
particular time, quite a number of former Arsenal players are falling into a trap, if it is a trap, that many people want Arsenal to fail. Is that true?
This is my feeling.
Did I hear Emmanuel Petit say
I've been hearing that, for weeks and months now.
Yeah. So is the Martin Keown paranoia catching on?
I'm not paranoia. This is a fight. Arsenal is leading the Premier League since October.
Yeah.
They are still qualifying for competition. They are going to play the Carabao Cup, final against City. They've been first on the table on the Champions League championship. So what do you want more than that?
But nonetheless, you think there's quite a bunch of people that want Arsenal to fail?
Yeah, you are trying to find something that is not happening right now. I don't know what's going on, tomorrow, for example. Yeah. I don't see in the future. So people are expecting in the future that Arsenal is going to fail. But right now, the fights are there.
We'll get into that next. Emmanuel Petit, live in the talkSPORT studio this Monday morning.
England striker Ivan Toney joined Drive Today show and was asked whether he wants to see Arsenal win the title.
Arsenal fans hate me as it is, so I can't say too much. But now, I do want them to win. I think it's boring City winning all the time. It would be nice for us, another team to win. Also, a couple friends at Arsenal also. So I think, it'll be special for them. Obviously being so close for so long, and hopefully they can finally get over the line. But I think they know City have been there, done it. So City have that little advantage, but I feel like Arsenal maybe can do it this time.
Yuck. That's what I'm going to say. Do not want Arsenal winning the title. I'm a Chelsea fan, right? It's the way it should be, right? It's the way it should be, Dina. Don't look at me like that. I don't want Arsenal winning the title, mate. All right? I've said all season they will, and I fear I'm going to be proven right. All right? I don't want to win the title.
Right. I thought the massive London derby was Spurs-Tottenham. Spurs-Arsenal.
Yeah, right? They're North London derby, yeah.
So who's Chelsea's biggest rivals? Spurs?
In London, Spurs. I mean, they say Fulham and QPR and Brentford. They're not. No.
So why do you hate Arsenal then?
No, I don't hate Arsenal. I just don't want Arsenal to win the title.
Why?
Because they're London. I don't want anyone in London doing well. In fact, someone's got to win the Premier League title. Give it to Man City. That's all I've got to say. Give it to City.
Well,
no, not give it to City.
What's your reasons for that? Just because
because Arsenal fans are unbearable. They're unbearable. They haven't won the title in 22 years. They're still unbearable, all of them. Honestly, the entitlement from them. Their Premier League record for the last 22 years, they've not been involved in it, right? Okay, they've had a couple of skirmishes with City. Their European status is absolutely disgustingly bad.
Monday morning, good morning everybody. Monday, March the 2nd, we're in the month of March. Emmanuel Petit is live in studio, World Cup winner of course with La Belle France all these years ago, 1998. Emmanuel in studio with Simon and myself. We're talking about who's going to go over the line. Is it going to be Arsenal? Is it going to be Manchester City? 9 games to go with the title technically in both of their hands. Who gives you more confidence to go all the way as we approach the run-in? Arsenal or Manchester City? In a bit, you might want to give us a call on that. 03717 223344. But the man in the studio alongside Mr. Jordan, Emmanuel Petit, suggested there are more than a number of people who want Arsenal to fail. So here we are again, with some ex-players and pundits saying, yeah, more than a few people want Arsenal to trip up at this stage. And only last week, Arsenal Invincible, Martin Keown, was saying, yeah, that is the case, even right here on talkSPORT.
So the reasons why you catch shrapnel is because you lack objectivity. No one's got any agenda against Arsenal. Nobody in this studio.
Well, that's where you're wrong. That's naive. Who's naive now? I was talking about somebody who works on this for this network, who for me takes fun.
Well, anyway, your manager said...
He's having a giggle. Arsenal just need to shut all the noise out and just go and play their football.
That's
what I'm saying. It's really,
when they play
it's
Wolves
really
and
interesting
Nottingham
when Arsenal trip and fall over, the ridicule that they face, it's unprecedented. The amount of scrutiny that this team... Every week, Monday, it's like, oh, can we win it again?
Is he right? Now, you're sitting there nodding. Now, for everybody listening this morning, everybody watching on YouTube, during the last commercial break, there was a fair bit of toing and froing between Mr. Jordan and Mr. Petit. Mm-hmm. You think this is the case?
Of course. Just like former players, on the TV pundits, radio pundits, they've been saying the same thing for weeks and months now.
Saying what?
That Arsenal is going to fail, Arsenal are winning ugly, Arsenal are a set-pieces team.
Who are saying this?
Who's saying they're going to fail?
Yeah, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Carrick, all of them, even some former Arsenal players. I just crossed the path, with Ray Parlour, just came out and say, are you confident to say, no, I'm not?
He didn't say they were going to fail. And these same pundits are very critical of the teams that they're aligned to. So Neville has been after United for yonks. I'm
not talking about United, I'm talking about...
Yeah, but when you say he criticises Arsenal, he criticises Manchester United as well. Carragher, a little bit more blinkered, but he still criticises Liverpool at times. So what you want is an unprecedented loving for Arsenal, with support from all quarters.
What I want is to tell the truth. Arsenal are first. They're leading the Premier League since October. This is the fact. So that means City has lost more points than Arsenal.
Yes.
So we'll see. I don't know what's going on in the future. If City wins the title, say, fair enough.
That's not the point people are making. Our Arsenal, as top of the league and a team that haven't won for 22 years with a very noisy fan base that have a sense of entitlement about them, are they beyond any form of critical observation? Or are they just...
That's what I said. City, the legacy they have, for the last few years, Obviously, and it's normal that people think that City will win the title because of their history.
But what you're saying is, forget City. You are saying, alongside Keown, are saying that there is a bias in the media and bias amongst pundits that are wishing Arsenal to fail.
There is a negative environment every single time they're talking about Arsenal.
Only Arsenal?
No, not only Arsenal. It's the same with Manchester United, for example. And it's quite surprising because Carrick is doing a great job, but some former players are trying to say that it doesn't represent the future of Manchester United.
So this is not unique to Arsenal.
I mean, the fight are here.
Trait. This is media content.
I speak about the fight. The fight are here.
No, you speak about your feelings.
Not my feelings.
Neither you or Keown have empirical data that says there's a big litany of abuse about
You are
Arsenal.
speaking about your feeling, and so many people.
I'm reacting to you.
No, me. I'm talking about fight, not feeling.
No, these are feelings that you suggest that there's a deluge of media bias, pundit bias that's wishing Arsenal
Not
to
all
fail.
of them, but the
That's what you
negative
just
environment are here. Look at the newspaper today.
Critical.
Yeah, critical.
Talking
They
about-
won yesterday a big derby, very difficult against Chelsea. And they're still 5 points clear.
None of this has ever applied.
But they still try to find a negative narrative.
That's media, full stop. That's society. People like to have dark stories rather than happy ones. People skipping down the road isn't of interest to people. So are you saying that there's never been any criticism of anybody else that's been in a box seat? So when Liverpool were playing last year, people were saying it's not the same team as Klopp.
I'm
It doesn't
talking
have the
about
same
Arsenal.
energy.
I'm not talking about the rest of the Premier League team.
But in order to say that Arsenal are singled out, you have to make the point that they're singled out rather than say it's a common denominator for every club. If the argument is that everybody's after Arsenal and it's unfair that what they're doing and they're wishing them to fail, it must be because they don't do it to someone else.
It's funny because people are still pointing, the game against Wolves or Nottingham.
Because that's not how you win the Premier League.
Can you tell me what was the last 2 games? 2 big derbies, and they won it.
Chelsea, and they're given credit for it.
You said it at the start of the radio show.
You're saying in as many words this Monday morning that there are those in the media who have an agenda against Arsenal.
I don't know if it's an agenda. I think that it's very negative. Every time they talk about Arsenal for weeks, it's always the same way. They think, it's been a long time they won the title and they won't get any chance against City.
You want these same people to be positive?
Even some Arsenal fans are saying to me that when was the last time? Even some Arsenal fans are saying to me this morning they are going to the Etihad. But when was the last time they won away at the Etihad? Well, because it happened like this for years. So this is the future.
But that's also you base. You often base in life your experiences determine your view of the world. So if your view of the world, your experiences say you don't go to the Etihad very often and win, then there's a reasonable reason for saying it. And you guys at Arsenal have created a title race by drawing against Wolves and drawing against Nottingham Forest.
You will never win anything, no title at all during your career. If you think this way. If you think that because I have never won anything, I will never win in the future.
That point, but it's not seen.
You have to change your mentality once.
That's also true too. You have to approach it in a way that.
That's what I'm saying.
We haven't done that, but we're going to do it this time.
Of course, that's what I said yesterday on stage. I said to former players, "Do you remember the first time you won something important? Do you think it changed because your mentality changed?
But also,
you have to believe in what you're doing.
But also, by the same token. You as an elite footballer, can you expect the everyday fan sitting in a terraces that has an everyday life that isn't an elite footballer with an elite mentality to adopt the same approach that you have?
So because it's been the case for years, so that means it's going to be the case in future.
I made.
Emmanuel, the criticism towards Martin Keown is paranoid. He's paranoid about the criticism that's heaped upon him, it's heaped upon Arsenal.
As I said.
And that he's biased.
Go on, defend Keown, go on. Get in that camp.
Are you somewhat
align yourself with Martin?
This Monday morning, are you somewhat Keown-like? That little bit paranoid?
Not paranoid.
Un petit peu?
I'm not paranoid. I'm just, this is a fight. It's been like this. I'm hearing, on newspapers, television, things like this. I'm reading things, for weeks and weeks and months, and I'm tired of it. If I am an Arsenal player, actually, I will be really tired.
Good, win them.
I will
ram it down their throats.
You know what? I will try everything I can to make them wrong.
Yeah, like draw at Wolves.
Do you know what? Many people are getting in touch saying Emmanuel Petit is right.
I will be the only one. I will be the only one. I believe, you know,
Martin Keown's at home phoning on many lines at this precise moment, trying to get through. So he's right. He can't work the phone. Many people are getting in touch saying, "Oh, hang on a second, an agenda against Arsenal." No, this is overcooking it. This isn't the case. What do you honestly think? 03717 22 33 44. Are there many out there who not so much want Man City to win it, but want Arsenal to fail? Give us a call. That's a fantastic draw for Arsenal, really, to be in that part of the draw as well, because not only have they got Leverkusen, they then play the winners of Sporting and Bodo Glimt, so they've got a great run. In fact, it could be that you could get a North London derby in the semi-finals of the competition if everything goes to plan. But their potential opponents in the quarterfinals, should they beat Leverkusen, Arsenal, would end up being Bodo Glimt or Sporting. And then they would face the winners of the quarterfinal, which is between Newcastle, Barcelona or Atletico Madrid against Tottenham. So the draw in full then, Paris Saint-Germain against Chelsea, Galatasaray against Liverpool. The winners of those two ties will play each other in the quarterfinals of the competition. Real Madrid will take on Manchester City, and Atalanta will play Bayern Munich. The winners of those two ties will meet in the quarterfinals. So we could have a Manchester City Bayern Munich reunification with Vincent Kompany in the quarterfinals of the competition, or we could have Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, some of the most prolific champions in Champions League history, meeting at the quarterfinals stage. Newcastle and Barcelona is the next fixture that came out of the hat. They will face the winners of Atletico Madrid and Tottenham Hotspur in the quarterfinals, and then Bodo Glimt, Sporting and Leverkusen Arsenal completes the draw. Well, certainly Arsenal have come out more favourably than anybody else.
Incredible. That's incredible. I mean, they've got to at least get to the semi-finals for me, if not the final itself. It couldn't have gone any better from a Gunners perspective.
Mikel Arteta says his heart stopped at the Emirates before David Raya clawed away Garnacho's cross-come shot in the dying moments.
I think we started the game so well. The first half was so dominant, but the margins were almost nothing, and it should have been much bigger.
Arsenal stay 5 points clear. They hung on to a 2-1 win over Chelsea. All 3 goals from corners. Ray Parlour's looking forward to England's set-piece World Cup.
And Reece James, he should be in the squad. Who's going to take the set plays? Because you've got Declan Rice. He whips him in from that right-hand side. Saka takes him on from the left. And Reece put some fantastic balls in, I must admit.
Meanwhile, Liam Rosenior says Chelsea need to sort out their set-piece defence and discipline issues if they're to make the top 5. Pedro Neto's red card was their 9th of the season, a new record. Igor Tudor's accusing Raul Jimenez of cheating and called Thomas Bramall a home referee. But Tottenham podcaster Ricky Sachs questions the players' mentality and Tudor's tactics.
You know, we've gone winless in 10 in the Premier League. We've conceded 2+ goals in the last 8 games, a new club record. You know, there's no team that can survive given that run rate.
Spurs' 10th defeat on the spin at Fulham leaves them 4 points off the bottom 3. Meanwhile, the head of Iran's FA's cast doubt on whether they'll go to the World Cup. That's after the country's supreme leader was killed in bombing by the USA and Israel. And Jose Mourinho says Gianluca Prestiani's Benfica career is over if he's found guilty of racist abuse. Prestiani denies claims he used a racial slur towards Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. There's more at talksport.com.
Good morning, everybody. It's lively in here this morning. It's Monday morning, Monday, March the 2nd. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit. We're live on talkSPORT. If you're watching on YouTube, I can imagine you're thoroughly entertained at this time because these two are going at it this morning, and that is exactly why we do this show. Absolutely love it. We're talking about Arsenal, of course, who beat Chelsea 2-1 to restore their 5-point lead at the Premier League summit. But having said all that, the paranoia that seems to exist among some pundits, I'm not saying anybody in this very studio this morning, among some pundits, is it catching on elsewhere? It certainly touched a nerve with Martin Keown last week in this very studio. Emmanuel Petit himself, who's sitting alongside Simon in here this morning, has suggested over the weekend there are lots of people who, quotes, want Arsenal to fail. And you think you're standing by that, Emmanuel? You're standing by that?
Of course.
Many people not so much want Manchester City to
always
win it, want Arsenal to fail.
Always try to give negative comments, never see the positive side. Never try to find something positive. It's like seeing the empty glass or the full glass. It's always the same old story. It's like even when Arsenal win a game, just like yesterday, it's about set pieces. Okay, so... is it important to win the 3 points? Nothing. Nobody is saying something positive all the time.
Nobody.
I mean, it's very rare. Actually, I read the newspaper this morning. It's kind of negative, you know. It's like FC set pieces FC, things like this. But at the end of the day, it's 3 points. I mean, just say
You're getting angry now.
Yeah, I get angry because. It's like watching the news, you know, you have 10 news, it's always about 9 bad news all the time. Fears sell newspapers, and fears bring, you know, people to be behind the TVs or in front of the TV all the time, you know. You know, there is beauty in this world. There is beauty, you know, in the football, and sometimes you can be honest and say that some positive things.
Okay, let's put it out there. Top of the league, but is there still unfair negativity directed towards Arsenal? John's a big Arsenal fan. John, you're through this morning to Mr. Jordan and Emmanuel Petit. What about all this negativity? Do you agree with Emmanuel?
Yeah, I think there is some truth to what he's saying, and I've seen it throughout the season. I don't think it's as big as what the boys have been saying, but you take the Martinelli incident. Martinelli was absolutely hammered by pundits, by papers for what he did with Conor Bradley, and he only tried to nudge him off with his knee, but, you know, we didn't understand that. And then you look to this weekend, Dan Burn literally picks up a player and tries to throw him off the pitch, but you don't hear anything. Cundy and Jamie O'Hara hammered Martinelli for it. They don't say anything about Dan Burn. So for me, there is a slight bias towards, you know, hammering Arsenal and wanting them to lose, and they pick up on it. I get it. It's clicks and views, and I get all of that. But come on.
A slight bias. Terrible. John, stay on the line. A slight bias.
I think there is an element of a fair observation, because I was looking at the Dan Burn situation, but I think it's scale of clubs. I think it's the clubs that make the news. When Man United were in decline, they made more news headlines than teams that were winning. The clubs like Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea will dominate more headlines because it's easy for the media to go to. They know they've got a bigger audience for it. Whereas the Newcastles, that might be a big club in Newcastle, might be a big club in certain respects, are not in the same bracket as Arsenal. So that's the reasons why clubs like Arsenal, Liverpool, from Man United, and their players and their deeds or misdeeds get elevated and amplified rather than some of the lesser clubs. I don't think it's anything other than that.
Yeah, briefly, John, with 9 games to go, are you going to win it?
I've never really said we're going to win the league from the start of the season, but we have a great chance. Just like Villa had a great chance and they were in the running, people saying, no, you're not in the running. I love the fact there's different people up there, and Arsenal do need to win it. I've watched them since my first game when I watched Ian Wright chip John Lukic against Leeds. I love this club so much, but my love for my club will never be outweighed by the
Are they going to win it, John?
Unlike
Are they going to win it?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you
and
go.
the cup.
You said it. You said it. You got there. Emmanuel Petit's nodding. Gary, big Arsenal fan. Gary, good morning to you. Emmanuel said over the weekend that there are a bunch of people who want Arsenal to fail. Is he right?
Massively. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I tell you what it feels like to me is, you know when England are playing and the whole country are excited and they want England to win a game. When Arsenal are playing, it feels like the exact opposite. Every single fan that is not involved with Arsenal desperate for us to lose. You know, you've only got Agbonahor, got to listen to him. He loves it. He can't wait for a Monday morning if we've lost.
Is that not because they're top, Gary, and they're there to be shot at, if you like?
I get that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But it's just, it feels, Emmanuel's right. It feels like if we win, you know, apparently this season's always it's the worst season. You know, every time we've been close to winning the league, the league's always the worst it's been. You know, apparently corners.
Didn't they say that about Liverpool last year? Didn't they say the same thing about Liverpool last year, winning a league where the competition wasn't there? Wasn't that a narrative around Liverpool as well?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think
it was. But it won't suit your argument because obviously Arsenal are victims in this.
No, well, I appreciate that, but I think the league is more open because I think the smaller sides are that much better, and that's why I think over the last few years it's really, it's made it a more exciting league. And I just feel like everyone's out to get us, whatever we do. And I think, we're a decent club. It's a good team, good players, and I think Arteta's gone, tried to build his squad. And I know we're right on the edge of it, and I'm desperate for us to win. But I just think that it just feels like everything we do, it's kind of like this backhanded compliment.
Gary, you know what's going to stop it all? Winning
the league.
Will you win it?
I hope so. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I thought it was 10 games left. I didn't realise it was 9 games left.
Yeah. Are you confident this morning you're going to go all the way and win it?
Yeah, definitely so. But then you can be confident. Like football's. That's what makes it so exciting. 2 weeks ago, I thought, oh my God, Spurs coming up, Chelsea coming up. You're not confident at all. This morning, I feel really confident. I think Brighton midweek. Yeah, I think Forest are trying to get points. They could. And I always look on the smaller sides about how they get on the week before. Brighton won yesterday, so it means they're probably going to lose on Wednesday.
Okay, Gary, thanks for the call. Listen, outside the Arsenal bubble, what is the view? Chelsea fan Jason, are Arsenal going to win it?
Hope not. No, but it's because of it's been touched upon. When you're so-called the best or you're top, you've got a target on your back. So obviously everyone wants to win. It's not that often that people want the favourite to actually win. And a couple of the Arsenal fans that are sort of coming on now and saying stuff, they're always against us. I don't remember people being against Arsenal 4 seasons ago or 5 seasons ago when they wasn't necessarily challenging. It was whoever else was challenging, Liverpool or whoever at the time. Yeah. Man City were getting slaughtered by everyone. It's just the way it is. Whoever's the top is the one that everyone's after. So they find fault in everything. And then when you've got Martin Keown coming on here and saying things like, I'd rather have this many points than this many points, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Jason, listen, thanks for the call. Let's finish with Dom, who's a big Arsenal fan. Dom, where do you stand in all of this? Do you feel there are a bunch of people that want Arsenal to fail, or are you ignoring it, just saying, go for it, let's win this thing?
Do you know what? I can't even believe that you're even having a debate to say that this ain't the fact. And Simon Jordan, me and you have had good debates before, mate, and I've got a lot of time, a lot of respect for you, as much as I've got a lot of respect for Emmanuel Petit. But for you to say, it's either you've got your ears shut and your eyes shut not to know that I'll give you a perfect example. A lot of the fans have not explained it properly. Emmanuel Petit is bang on right, and so is Martin Keown. But Petit's probably not explained it right to use. But if you look at it, right, even going back as far as Adrian Durham, when Arsenal, under Arsene Wenger, who was one of the greatest managers ever, who, I said this to you before, Simon, who had his arms tied behind his back at some stages, had to sell our best
Your own
players.
fans ate your manager at the end.
No. Simon, this is where you get it all wrong, mate.
Oh,
right?
oh they didn't then.
No, I'll tell you why you get it wrong. Arsenal are the biggest supported club in London, right?
Yep.
Behind Manchester United and Liverpool, they're one of the biggest supported clubs around the world. Man United and Liverpool have got the most, then it's Arsenal. It's a known fact. Yep. Social media and Arsenal fans on social media is what's caused all this poison. And you said it, Simon, right? You just said it earlier.
Yeah.
You said there ain't a thing against Arsenal, but the first thing you said was they think they've got to give them right, and they think this. No, Simon, we don't think we've got to give them right, because I've been going Arsenal 37 years. I've seen us win 5 league titles, right? I'm a good fan. I've been there through the thick and thin, yeah? When Arsenal was doing poor towards the end of Wenger's reign, how comes there was a daily Arsenal? Why was there a daily Arsenal every week mocking us? And then you've got teams like Chelsea now, which I said to you before. I said to you this a long time ago, Simon, you agreed.
Go on.
That they've spent £1 billion, they've spent a lot more than us. Why shouldn't they win the league? Why ain't everyone saying they're failures? Why ain't everyone saying...
But they are.
No.
But they are. I mean, Chelsea have got slaughtered for their spend pattern over the last 3 years, been ridiculed as what kind of club they are and what kind of ownership model they've got. They're getting eaten by their own fans internally. I'm not entirely sure what you're suggesting that people aren't doing with Chelsea.
No.
But you're top of the league now. If Chelsea were top of the league
Simon, answer me this thing.
Go on.
You're fair, Simon. You've always said you want it to come back to London. That's it. You ain't got a
Indeed,
preference,
I do.
Right? Yeah, you ain't got a preference. Right. So all the media, how you can say Emmanuel Petit is talking nonsense and they're paranoid all night. They're not paranoid. You've only got to listen to the sports bar at night. Jason Cundy slaughters any opportunity he chose. Like the other day, he said he wants Spurs to win. Now
that's a bias, isn't it? But that's a show that thrives on confrontation and creating narratives out of knockabout humour, right?
Yeah,
you don't take that seriously, do you?
No, they do it because they know they're going to get.
Yeah, it's knockabout, right?
Yeah.
But you're on with us now, Dom.
Right, yeah, you're saying muckabout. So you've got an ex-Tottenham player on there and an ex-bloody whatever he was, O'Hara. Whenever he talks about Arsenal, this is what Emmanuel Petit means. He'll go, oh, that was a good result, but they'll bottle it in the end, or they'll do this. Every time there's a narrative. Arsenal, when we beat Atletico Madrid 4-0, when we beat Leeds at home 5-0, when we won away at Inter Milan, scored 3 goals, when we beat Leeds away 4-0. The next pundit come on the TV yesterday and said the reason he thinks that Man City, they're going to win it because they went to Leeds and they showed a performance and grittiness and won 1-0.
Oh, you're talking about Yaya Toure yesterday. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what did Arsenal do? Arsenal went there, showed the grittiness.
He's a former Man City player, isn't he? So he's got a bias, isn't he?
Dom, I'll do this with you. I'll do this with you as we approach the next break. Emmanuel, what do you want to say to Dom, who spent a lot of time coming on this morning?
I totally agree. Of course, I totally agree. You have a different opinion, so I respect that. I disagree with you, and I'm sure, because when I was playing as well, I received that kind of stick sometimes, the team, and we didn't understand. Sometimes we are, players are not stupid. They are honest with themselves, all the time, and they know when the newspapers, former players cross the line.
Just before we hit the break, Dom, if you're still with us, you're going to win it.
Listen, I said the other day, I want us to win it. I want us to. I don't want. You know what it is? I've been so hurt the last few years.
Yeah.
And I go every week. Arsenal.
Are you confident you're going to win it?
I'm confident. I'll tell you why I'm confident. As well, because you might not remember this, but fans that have been going a long time. George Graham, we won the league in 1989. Mickey Thomas, we had to win 2-0 at Anfield. No one had ever been to Anfield and won 2-0.
Yeah.
And he sat down with the players. You know what he said to the players? Everyone hates us. The media hates us. They don't want us to win it. And that's as far back as 1989.
Right.
So I think what's going to spur us on is the hatred that's out there. And believe me, Simon, believe me, mate, you've only got to go on social media to see it. The real fans like us don't give a pop at us. We have got some silly fans on social media that go on there that want Arteta out and they say bad things about Wenger in the past. But the 40,000 season ticket holders at Arsenal that have been there week in, week out, we're the proper fans.
Go on, Dom. We don't hate you, mate. The hatred, though, you say will get you there. Well, maybe it will. We're back after this.
So when an old friend I know drops by to say hello, will I still see suspicion in your eyes?
Absolutely.
There we go again, Ray. Here we go.
Come on now.
You're asking where I've been. Whoa. You can't see the tears are real. I'm crying. Sing it, Ray.
We can go on together with suspicious minds.
Build our dreams on suspicious minds. That's beautiful.
Right, people can put the radio back on.
I just want to hear the bit in the ghetto from the man himself, Elvis. This is a classic.
There's a snow flies on a cold and grey Chicago morning. A poor little baby child is born in the ghetto, and his mama cries, 'cause if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another little hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. People, don't you understand? A child needs a helping hand, or he'll grow to be an angry young man someday. Well, take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Or do we simply turn our heads and look the other way?
further down the line, we'll talk about Rangers and Celtic and Hearts up in Scotland, of course, after the events of the weekend. Hearts win again. Rangers looked like beating Celtic, but in the end, Martin O'Neill's men left Ibrox with a point. Emmanuel Petit, World Cup winner, of course, is in studio this morning. The topic, of course, for the last hot 45 minutes has been Arsenal. But let's talk about Chelsea, because after years of dominating Arsenal, have Chelsea now become subservient to Arsenal? Is it the result of two ownerships changing directions, Silent Stan wakening up, and Blueco replacing Roman Abramovich? Do you know this? Since the Blueco takeover, that's Bole and Igbali for those who don't know, back in 2022, Chelsea are winless against Arsenal. In 8 league games against Arsenal, Chelsea have lost 5 and drawn 3, scoring 6, conceding 15. Arsenal also won both legs of the Carabao Cup semi-final this season between the sides. So, I mean, you have to go back a long, long way
Abramovich.
when Chelsea did anything against Arsenal. You're right, Emmanuel. And here's the thing. Chelsea's co-owner Todd Bowley has been speaking about this. He spoke at the iConnections conference on their arrival in English football.
Having taken over in the circumstances we did, basically the whole management team left.
Yeah.
Right? So you know, I was stuck being interim sporting director for a summer, having no idea what made a good football player.
Yeah, right.
But knowing that, you know, Mark Cucurella, if Man City wants him, I want him.
Yeah, right.
It was really simple that way.
That's pretty simple.
He says, Simon, the whole management team left. Well, they kind of did, because he sacked them.
Well, he sacked the manager, didn't he?
Right. So out they went. I mean, does Bowley's latest story there, though, Simon, not fly in the face of your compelling and capable image that you have of these characters like Todd Bowley?
I didn't say Todd Bowley, did I?
You said Igbali.
I said it after Igbali. I met Todd Bowley in Qatar. I thought Todd was okay, commercially minded man, clearly successful. When I talked about compelling people, it was directly relational to Igbali. It had no reference to Todd Bowley in there. So it's not a good comparison for this.
But Igbali must have had a say on Todd Bowley becoming sporting director for a summer.
Well, I'm assuming that when you walk in the door, you haven't got the fully rounded project, have you? I mean, you're walking in, no one for one moment, even for the purpose of this conversation with hindsight being in its centre, would have suggested that a new ownership walks in the door and knew what it was doing instantaneously. If indeed the entire management team vacated with Abramovich, all his acolytes and people that lived vicariously through Abramovich, the Bruce Bucks of the world and so on and so forth, all went out the door, right? Now, that's not necessarily the fault of a new ownership model. That's the fault of an owner that got sanctioned and booted out football and left the club in almost existential damage.
But they got rid of Granit Xhaka. They got rid of Peter Cech. Was that the right route to take?
Who knows at the structure? I don't know if they did get rid of them or whether these people made it clear they didn't want to work within this new structure. Who knows? They got rid of Tuchel. We know that for a fact. And quite frankly, given the understanding of what I had with Tuchel's behaviours at the time, I'd have got rid of him too. And anybody with any level of authority would have got rid of him. But the fact of the matter is that they came in, bought a new football club. Most of the time, you change, you bring in your own people. It's human nature to do so. Wise people keep a bit of balance. They keep the balance of the old school that knows its way around and get all the information from them, suck the knowledge out of them, then get rid of them once they're no longer fit for purpose, because ultimately they're not going to perhaps subscribe to your view. So I don't take any notice of that particular analysis of compelling people, because my viewpoint was based upon Igbali and his clear thinking. Now, whether that clear thinking becomes translated into Chelsea being successful, we will see. They're on the cusp of being successful. They're not that far away as a team.
Well, Emmanuel, in your view, can Chelsea emulate with Liam Rossini what Arsenal have become under Mikel Arteta?
I wish for them, honestly. It's been, inconsistency on the bench. The serenity, for the manager has not been there, for years, and they've been sacking manager. Maresca has been sacked after a month of poor results, but he won 2 trophies the season before. So I think serenity is something that is very important when you want to build success. Look at Arteta, with Arsenal. The first couple of years has been very difficult, and still the board kept confidence on him, and it shows, a great difference now. So Rossini has done a great job, in Strasbourg and Ligue 1. He was managing a really young team, and they are playing very well football. And still, he left the club, and they're still doing exactly the same job. So I hope that Rossini will stay at the club with a vision. But the transfer policy, has been made at Chelsea for years explains a lot, about body comments. I mean, because top clubs are targeting a player, then Chelsea wants to buy it.
Yeah.
They spend 2 billion in 5 years on transfer market. So, I mean, if you add more and more players in every single position, this is not how you build a team. So you need to get a vision, a sport vision, and you need to stick with it.
Emmanuel's right, though. I mean, but you heard Bully say on Cucurella, if Manchester City wanted him, well, I want him.
No. What he said in conjunction with being forced into a sporting director position because there wasn't one there, he took a reasonable olive branch, looked up in the air and went, okay, if they want him, there's a reasonable suggestion that we should want him because we're trying to emulate them.
Is that the way to work?
In the instance of having no knowledge about the industry, it's a reasonable approach to a question of being fired at you about something that happened 4 years ago when you had no knowledge. Otherwise, you'd turn around and say, I was picking players. And the next question would be, well, where was your knowledge? So his knowledge is based upon the expertise of the opposition that are winning leagues. Not a reasonable, not a bad blueprint, because they're all doing it. When everyone was trying to sign Lavia.
So you're saying that before they bought the Chelsea, they just wanted to buy the club, but they had no vision the first few months.
I think they had no knowledge. You acquire knowledge. I wanted to buy Crystal Palace. We are
talking about Chelsea, one of the biggest clubs in the world.
What's that got to do with anything?
I mean, we are just talking about numbers, not sports.
So how much knowledge do you think the Glazers had of Man United's football?
That's what I'm saying. When you give the power and the ownership of some people who don't have a clue about how running a football club, don't be surprised that you fail.
No, Abraham Glazer didn't say, call me sporting director now.
No, of course not. But Avram Glazer wasn't confronted with the same set of circumstances that Chelsea might have been confronted with, which was a club that was going through existential jeopardy and had its owner booted out and was actually being sanctioned and was running out of cash and was about to be booted out of football. So it's a different comparison. But they're still relative to some extent. And the argument about Arteta and Liam Rosenior and our potentially is a model being imitated here. First of all, Arteta was an elite footballer. Liam Rosenior was not. Second of all, he's worked for an elite coach for years and earned his corn at Manchester City. Third of all, he's been given 5 years at Arsenal. And Rosenior was recruited from a management group that had him in a different framework. So they know him. So there's no comparison. The only way Liam Rosenior keeps his job, by the way, Maresca didn't get sacked, he resigned.
I agree with you.
And the only way Liam Rosenior keeps his job in this management structure is if he keeps on improving the team. And Chelsea never built a structure about stability. They fly in the face of the idea for stability. For 20 years, Abramovich went, you won something, but you didn't win enough, out. You won something too, but you didn't win enough, out. So there's no structure.
You know why Maresca resigned?
Because he was having tantrums left, right and centre.
No, I think because he was tired.
Because he won the world championship. Because he won the world championship and got ahead of himself. That's
he was tired of not controlling the dressing room, the transfer market. People were whispering just like what they've done, at Manchester United with Amarin. It was exactly the same situation. Okay. That's why he wanted to leave the club, because he was controlling the sport vision, and those people behind him was whispering at the board ears all the time.
Okay, I'm trying to control this. It's just gone 11 o'clock this Monday morning.
So, Stuttgart have got Porto, Nottingham Forest have got Midtjylland. The winners of those ties will meet in the quarterfinals. Bologna take on Roma and Lille play Aston Villa. It means the quarterfinal could be Daniel Marlin against Aston Villa, Gabby.
That would sum us up. That Daniel Marlin would score the winner and knock Aston Villa out. And if that happened, right, I don't know what I'd do, Crookie. I think I'd walk to your house, Crookie, from here and knock on your door and blame you.
We'll fire up the hot tub, mate. You're always welcome.
But Aston Villa against Lille, they finished 18th in the Europa League group stage. Beat Red Star Belgrade in the playoffs.
They did well, actually, to come from behind. They lost their home leg 1-0 and then 1-2-1 away.
You should be beating them.
They're 5th in the league as well, in Liga. So
Rome
should beat them.
the tough one.
Yeah, Rome is the tough one, and it's on the same side as Forest. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So basically, what it means is that if they were to win against Midtjylland, which you might expect them to do, Nottingham Forest, they would find a quarter-final opponent, either Stuttgart or Porto. Tough draw, actually, that. And then further down the line, if they were to win that quarter-final, the semi-final would be potentially Aston Villa. That is possible.
Are you pleased you're on the other half of the draw to Genk?
Cookie, you're not funny. Where Manchester United, Alex? Because there'll be thousands of Villa fans listening to you.
They're
Cookie.
also on the other side of the draw to Freiburg.
Yeah,
Oh, hello. Hello, you.
And Braga.
Guys, you do a lot of games at Villa Park. Be careful now. Alex.
You like Aston Villa.
Get looked after, didn't you?
We're predicting them
Get
to
some good food in the press box.
You know what? I think the atmosphere at Aston Villa is one of the best when it's really.
I love it.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
We do headlines at 6 minutes past 11. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Emmanuel Petit told White and Jordan he agrees with Martin Keown. There is a media narrative against Arsenal.
You are trying to find something that is not happening right now. I don't know what's going on, tomorrow, for example. I don't see in the future. So people are expecting in the future that Arsenal is going to fail. But right now, the facts are there.
Manu Petit is reminding us all Arsenal have led the title race since October and the quadruple is still on. Meanwhile, we're also told the media have it in for Spurs.
That is the big story, but I just don't think people realise if Tottenham get relegated, there's absolutely no guarantee that Tottenham come back first time of asking.
Tottenham podcast host Ricky Sachs says it doesn't feel like anyone at the club truly cares about the fans. Arne Slot admits he finds no joy in watching the Premier League's new set-piece era, but says competitiveness is keeping the league interesting. Liverpool go to Wolves tomorrow. Now, after Celtic and Rangers drew in the Premiership, both John Hartson and Ali McCoy say Motherwell are in with an outside chance of winning the Scottish title.
I couldn't tell you the last time there was a kind of 4-horse race getting into the last 10 odd games in Scottish football.
Motherwell have one of the best defensive records in Europe. They're 2 points behind Celtic, but fully 10 points shy of leaders Hearts. And the Lionesses are in close contact with the UK government. That's following the bombing in Iran. England are in Turkey for tomorrow's World Cup qualifier against Ukraine. There's more on this on the Women's Football Show tonight on talkSPORT 2 from 10 p.m.
talkSPORT News.
The Foreign Office is planning to evacuate more than 100,000 people from the Middle East, and part of Edinburgh's on lockdown as armed police respond to an incident. More from the news team at 5:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
In the west, patchy outbreaks of rain with brisk winds, drier in the east with bright spells. Average temperatures turning more settled through the week.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Emmanuel Petit, and we are live in talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. Wherever you want to watch the show, you can do that, and many of you are tuned in and watching this morning, and we are thrilled about that. Like many others, I went to Clinton Baptiste on Thursday night here in London. Hugely amusing night. Andy, big fan of Simon. David, you're over from California. You enjoy the show. And Billy, who I sat one next to, who drives around in a lorry around Essex at this particular time. You'll be tuned in this morning. Lovely to meet you, and good morning to you as well. So many people coming up to me and telling me how much you enjoy the show, and that is great as far as we are concerned. That was on Thursday night. Seems like a long time ago. Then after that, I wonder how many people spotted this, because many people spotted it and went for it on social media. Leeds United up against Manchester City. The topic here, Emmanuel, basically, and I know you're aware of it, some Muslim players were booed for breaking their Ramadan fasting. Let me just explain a bit more around this. 11 minutes into the game at Elland Road, a large section of the Leeds supporters began booing when play was stopped for Manchester City's Muslim players to break their Ramadan fasting. Now, an explainer that this was coming flashed up on the Elland Road big screen and said that play has been paused briefly to allow players to break their fast. Now, that didn't go down well with many of the Leeds United supporters, and boos continued alongside some of the chanting. 20 minutes after that, the big screen displayed a message against discriminatory behaviour with a slogan, "All Leeds, aren't we? Real fans don't discriminate." So it was down to this. City named 3 Muslim players, Marmoush, Cherki and Ait Nouri, in their starting 11. And those players, at the end of all of this, were ending their fast. They're ending their period of fasting. And that comes at a time, tradition tells us, when the sun sets. No particular set time, but this was always going to be the set time. And it was about 25, 30 seconds. But anyway, it was picked up by Pep Guardiola, who spoke about it post-match.
It's a modern world, right? Look what happened in the world right now, today again, right? If we don't respect the religion, respect the diversity. That is the point. If the rule, we didn't say that. We didn't. If the Premier League said, okay, for the fasting, you can be 1 or 2 minutes, to do that. For the players, do it. So that's where it is, unfortunately.
That was Pep's take on it. In a situation like this, after fasting, it's our understanding that taking fluids as early as possible could make the difference between preventing cramping, preventing dizziness, not falling into that kind of condition. Players take carbohydrate gels or electrolyte drinks to stabilise blood sugar levels instantly. Kick It Out, we're onto it. The anti-discrimination movement. It's massively disappointing that some Leeds United fans booed when Manchester City's players broke their fast during the first half of the match at Elland Road this evening. This was compounded by the fact that an explanation was displayed on a big screen inside the stadium. Pausing the game to allow Muslim players to break their fast during Ramadan has been an agreed protocol for several years now. It has been. It's been in place for about 4 to 5 years now. Emmanuel, in your view, I don't know if this happened in French football, but how badly did some Leeds fans let themselves down?
I don't like it. In fact, I hate it.
You hate what? You hate what? The fact that they booed?
Yes, definitely. Because first of all, it's the protocol. But I think more important than that is the political environment we're living in this world, actually. And I totally agree with what Pep just said. And we need more love in this world, There is war everywhere. There is racism coming from everywhere now. And I'm quite scared about what will happen in the future. And to be honest, the world we're living to our kids, And this is not the kind of message, that for me is very helpful for this world. And if you switch on the television, or if you started to read newspapers, you want to commit a suicide right now, because the world we're living is poor. And what happened, at Leeds, it's terrible, and I'm pretty sure it's not a reflection of what the vast majority of these fans think.
You see this as a lack of tolerance?
Of course. But in the meantime, I can understand sometimes some people saying that if you try to make a difference, for a religion, if you put religion into sport, then you open a door that's somewhere you cannot close. But this is the protocol. I respect every religion. I respect every skin color. I respect every the differences between people around the world. I think we are millions of thinking like this, but there is more and more people on this planet that think the opposite, and this is for something that I'm very worried about.
Can you understand in any way, Simon, a number of the Leeds supporters being irate about this and venting their anger that the game was held up?
Well, not particularly. But is it centred in the fact that, because the default setting will be that centred in discrimination and racism rather than necessarily intolerance of the game being stopped, but what's considered to be the opposition? If there were Muslim players playing in the Leeds side and they had been part of a fasting break, would the fans have booed them? Yeah. Because there is a leap to a conclusion that's drawn by the usual suspects that this is racism and it can only be racism. It's only racism. It's only discrimination, rather than an intolerance towards something that's happening that the opposition might be benefiting from rather than the home side. So that might form part of the thinking. Only in the minds of the Leeds fans that booed do we actually know the motivation, and all the usual suspects will seek to turn around and say, aha, see, alive and kicking. We've got a big problem over here. And it might be that. And it might be something different. The balancing act in my mind, and I'm going to put it out there, is there a necessity to break a game? I understand the protocol. Can we not wait until half-time? If these players are fit enough to start a game, can they not wait till half-time? I understand the dynamics of not disrespecting anyone's religion by asking
How long does it last, when you...
Oh, it's on 30 seconds.
Yes, okay.
So it's almost incidental.
Almost.
I don't think I personally don't agree with the booing side of things, but I'm not going to
30 seconds, that's it.
Yes. But fans...
VAR interruptions last probably 6 or 7 minutes sometimes.
And again, and they boo for that too. I mean, if it is indeed steeped in discrimination, then it needs to be looked at in that respect. If it's primarily... I mean, again, I asked the question, we can never answer this question because they didn't have any Muslim players in the Leeds side. If it had been Leeds players that were of a Muslim religion and that were breaking their fast at the same time, would the fans have booed them? We won't know that because we can't put ourselves in the way of that test. So, tragically, it will get weaponised as an example of bad things in society. Right. And football, perhaps... they've messaged the fans, they've made the message very clear, and certain sections of the fan base have booed, and it might be just as in danger of repeating myself, only because the opposition playing in their stadium are the only players that need to take the benefit of breaking their fast.
I hope so.
I take your point.
I hope you're right.
I'll ask that question, Simon. I mean, if you were a Leeds fan inside Elland Road on the night, did you boo because you were intolerant of it, that it's interfering with what you're watching? And to an extent, it's because it wasn't one of your players. It was a Manchester City players. Just for the record, in 2021, an agreement was introduced to allow Muslim players to break their fast during a Premier League match. And that's exactly what we saw. But were you one of the ones booing? If you want to tell us yes, you were and why you were, then you might want to give us a call. 03717 223344.
Your record at home is so bad.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem you've got with Spurs is there's a real toxic feeling throughout the football club. When you look at the top in terms of the ownership and the changing of some of the hierarchy there, Daniel Levy moving on, Nothing has really changed, Ray. You know, the reality is with Tottenham that they talk like they want to be a big club, but they don't act like a big club. They don't want to pay the big club wages in general. Look, they've made a bit of a shift in terms of Conor Gallagher, for example. But, you know, you look at that January transfer window, that absolutely has killed us by not improving and investing into the squad. You know, we knew going into that window we were absolutely decimated by injuries, but the board chose not to give Thomas Frank any kind of opportunity to really fight and try and see if there's a way out of his current predicament when he was struggling. And Tudor's come into a battle where, quite honestly, at the moment, I'm really, really unsure whether we've made the right decision. But at the time, you know, he was a firefighter, but I think he's walked into Tottenham, and you've heard in there in the press conferences, I think he doesn't realise until he's got in there the actual mess the club are in. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if another couple of defeats, they may look to change him, because I'm worried that in his first 2 games, he's gone in on the players and absolutely buried them.
He has, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they probably deserve being buried, but how is that productive in terms of trying to get results out of this group? I don't know, when you're already decimated by injuries and you've got 12 to 13 players fit to work with.
It's a little bit harsh having a go at him straight away when he's only been in having 2 games, Ricky, but I can understand it, because for me,
It's Monday morning. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Emmanuel Petit. Muslim players booed for breaking their Ramadan fasting. This was at Elland Road, 11 minutes into the game against Manchester City. It was reported that a large section of Leeds fans began booing when play was stopped for City's Muslim players to break their Ramadan fasting. The players in question, Marmoush, Cherki, Ait Nuri. And it went on for not even a minute, less than a minute, when this break in play came along. But this goes back to 2021, when an agreement was introduced to allow Muslim players to break their fast during a Premier League match. And there was an explainer that this was going to happen on the big screen at Elland Road. Play has been paused briefly to allow players to break their fast. But that said, didn't stop many Leeds fans booing. So was this a concerning lack of respect that was displayed at that particular time? Sophie is a Nottingham Forest fan who wants her say on this. Sophie, good morning. What's your take on it?
Oh, morning. Hi, guys. Are you well?
Good morning. Yes, we are. Thanks, Sophie. What do you think?
Yeah, just really disappointed, if I'm being honest. As a female Muslim fan who obviously supports Nottingham Forest, just to see that really. And it just goes to show you really how I feel, in my opinion, that the game has still a lot to do in terms of especially South Asian communities and the Muslim representation, how it's still got a long way to go to make Muslim players, South Asian players, Muslim fans to feel more included. And I think Leeds fans should feel, those who were, and I know it's not going to be all of them, those who were booing should actually be really disappointed and ashamed of themselves.
Sophie, Stay in the line for a second. Scott is a Leeds fan who joins us. Scott, good morning. What did you think of it? Were you there?
I was, yeah. A cracking show, by the way. I completely disagree with what the ladies just said. Although what I would say is I'd condemn it if it was people doing it. My seat's in the Cobb, and we're quite vocal, as most people will know. And what the background to this booing, which there was a lot of booing, it wasn't about the breaking of the fast. It was about Donnarumma and Guardiola doing the normal City housery tactics, shall we say. If people are going to break their fast and there was 2 or 3 Muslim players on the pitch, why does it take 11 players to go over to the bench and get briefed? It just happened to be at the time that they were getting battered by Leeds at the time. And I completely disagree with it.
But it was your understanding, was it not, Scott, and the rest of the fans around you, that this was nonetheless a brief break in play because of a religious nature, to allow Muslim players to break the Ramadan fasting? Was that not your understanding? Because that's what went up in the big screen.
No, I understand what you're saying, Jim, but no. Again, this is going back to the previous game at the City Ground where we were losing 2-0 at half-time, and then we came back to 2-2, and then as players do, they start to waste time, and that's what happened at the City Ground. They got them in. Donnarumma did an injury, feigned an injury. And then all the players went over for a huddle, and that's exactly what those booing was about. And I was listening earlier on, and you were saying that they then put on I think on a big screen later on that we don't tolerate any
yes, we don't discriminate. Yeah.
Now that goes on probably every 5 minutes throughout the game, every game. So that's nothing different.
But Scott, I'll ask you again. When there was a break in play, was it your understanding that it was to allow certain Muslim players to break their fast?
Well, yeah, you could clearly see that was what it was.
That,
but that's not what the booing was, though. The booing was as all the players went over.
But you can see how it's now construed, though, Scott, can't you?
I can absolutely, but then again, you've got to look into these things a little bit deeper. We, as football fans, we have long memories, and this is just going back to. Ironically, which was the turn of our season, the City game away. But that's what it was about genuinely. In the Kop and many areas in the ground, there are many Asian fans, Sikh, from all different types of people and religious backgrounds. And I genuinely believe that was not the case. We were infuriated by the fact that the entire City bench went over and had a team talk.
Scott, thanks for your time. Sophie, back to you. What do you think of what Scott has just said?
A bit of a coincidence, and Scott can vouch for every single Leeds fan that was there, that's what they were doing for. Listen, my perspective is of a person who has lived experience of attending Forest Gate. I can't say anything about Forest, really inclusive. I can't say anything about other football clubs as well. So, there are some really, really good football clubs that will include the Muslim communities, offer iftars, opening of fasts at the football clubs. Forest have done it. Blackburn are really good at it, Oldham Athletic. So communities where there are large populations of South Asian Muslim communities, to try and embrace and integrate them into the game. So there is some really good work going on, but I don't know if Scott can vouch for every single fan. It's just my pessimistic
Sophie,
view,
before you leave us, maybe you can answer this question. I'm looking at a lot of points being made by fans who are calling in. Many are saying, why couldn't this moment have waited, been put off until half-time when play had stopped, obviously, for the time being. As a Muslim woman live with us this morning, what is your answer to that? Is that a relevant point, or did it have to be 25, 30 seconds, 11 minutes into the game?
2 points to that. If you've ever fasted, you wouldn't be asking that question, They're elite
Explain
athletes.
that to me. Explain that to me.
So obviously, so if you're fasting for a with any length of time, if you're spending a long amount of time without food or water, that's going to have an impact, some sort of impact on your health and well-being. Now, these Man City players will have nutritionists, they'll be smart about what and how they eat. Okay, so Islamically, it's important to try and open and break your fast as soon as, obviously, the sun sets. And secondly, in any profession or walk of life, whether you're a footballer, whether you're a bank manager, if you're being inclusive and integrating, as we're all trying to be, then in any other profession, in any other walk of life, if you are working and your fast is due to open, there'll be adaptations, accommodations to allow you to do that. So why should football be any different?
Okay, Sophie, thank you very much indeed.
I'm just fascinated why the preferred explanation is it has to be racism of some shape or form. Why is the preferred explanation? You have a Leeds fan on the call that's suggesting that it's a matter of course the Man City players have all gone over. By the way, why would they be all going over? Because they're taking a competitive advantage out of it. So I always find it fascinating when an explanation is given, why the preferred explanation is it must be discrimination. Why is that the preferred one? Why is somebody that wasn't there able to trump somebody that was there and say, I prefer it to be discrimination?
Why are you taking that as read?
Because that's what the caller just said. Oh, that's very convenient. Well, so your preferred explanation is that it was racism. Okay, if that's your preferred explanation, then it's your preferred explanation. It may well be, in my point of view, that actually it might just be that football fans were totally intolerant of the fact that the entire Man City team, rather than being stood in their positions waiting for the Muslim players that were fasting to be able to break their fast, were now taking a competitive advantage out of it. And the Leeds fans, and you've got another experiential text message from a Leeds fan that's just texted me. You've got a caller coming on, but they're not the preferred explanation. The racism one is the preferred explanation.
But you do accept though that the play has been paused briefly. The notice that went up to allow players to break their fast.
Yeah.
That there are a number of supporters inside Ellen Road, obviously, who's in seeing that thing. No, I'm not having that.
But if we jump to the conclusion that steeps in racism and discrimination, then that's the part that I'm having trouble with. I don't like them booing. They should just get on with it. In lots of things in football fans,
there may be some element of that.
And there may be some element of that. But we've just heard a caller come in and say, I'm sat in the stand, and the motivation for doing it was because Man City are doing the usual bit. And the reaction from the lady on the call was, now, how convenient that is. My preferred explanation is discrimination. I mean, what do you do with that?
I mean,
wait, half time. Wait, half time. That's it. This is the answer.
But they don't want to. I wonder how
that will close the problem.
But then there'll be arguments about prejudice and discrimination. And it's a fascinating argument because I wonder how our traditions are reported into other countries and how they'll be treated.
If you open the door on different religions, into sports, and you try to change rules, then all of a sudden you open a door you cannot close. So as I said, I respect every single rule.
But that's discrimination.
Exactly.
But that's discrimination. You're discriminating against Muslims by that logic. You just heard the lady.
Well, otherwise, Catholic or Jewish, anyone can do anything, during the game.
Indeed. It's a point well made. But,
that's what I'm saying.
We heard from a Muslim lady there who said when the sun sets, that's when the fast is broken. And at that particular time, 11 minutes into the game at Elland Road, that's when the players broke their fast. And that was agreed.
Why don't you bring the players on after 11 minutes then? If you've got Muslim players on the side that are so unable to compete in it. I mean, there's a whole raft of observations, but the central theme will be...
It's been in place for 5 years, Simon.
I accept that.
So why do some have an issue with it now?
But Leeds had an issue with it relational to Manchester City. How many times have other teams had an issue with it? How were Leeds in the Premier League when this rule was deployed? Have they had an experience of it previously? Were there fans, with all due respect to this argument, because none of us know the mentality of the reasons why the fans were doing it, were there fans booing because they felt Manchester City were taking advantage of a situation? If that was the case, then this discrimination argument does not have any grounds. And my point in all this, why is it the preferred argument? Why is it the preferred argument? Well, it must be discrimination.
No, not right across the board, Simon. It might have been an argument for both.
Wasn't the last caller?
Might have been an argument for both. Anyway, just gone 11:30.
Let's talk about Tottenham Hotspur. Has Igor Tudor already bitten off more than he can chew? Is it strange to hear a Tottenham manager speaking about a small club mentality? This is him talking about the scale of the task ahead.
Very tough, but this is what I said before. I don't change my opinion. It is how is it. So daily work, focus, raise in all things we need to do. Physical condition, mentally, confidence, performance, and waiting the players to come back.
Is this the biggest job in terms of, we will call it firefighting, you've had?
Probably if I recognize the difficulties there are, probably yes. Probably yes.
You're still confident?
It's even bigger challenge, even a bigger motivation to do this, and we do it. We do it, but I agree with you. Even not looking to the style now in this moment. So style need to be in the second moment, because now it's a question of life and death. It's really the question that every game need to be prepared in that way. How are we going to take these points? One way, other way. In Italy they use the terms, have a mentality of a small team. We use it in Italy, that kind. So that's the key always, with the handles, with the willing, with the wish to have always motivation, like you play against bigger teams. So that's the start, of course, and then we work a lot of that. They are aware of everything.
Mikel Arteta says his heart stopped at the Emirates before David Raya clawed away Garnacho's cross-come shot in the dying moments.
I think we started the game so well. The first half was so dominant, but the margins were almost nothing, and it should have been much bigger.
Arsenal stay 5 points clear. They hung on to a 2-1 win over Chelsea. All 3 goals from corners. Ray Parlour's looking forward to England's set-piece World Cup.
And Reece James, he should be in the squad. Who's going to take the set plays? Because you've got Declan Rice. He whips him in from that right-hand side. Saka takes him on from the left. And Reece put some fantastic balls in, I must admit.
Meanwhile, Liam Rosenior says Chelsea need to sort out their set-piece defence and discipline issues if they're to make the top 5. Pedro Neto's red card was their 9th of the season, a new record. Igor Tudor's accusing Raul Jimenez of cheating and called Thomas Bramall a home referee. But Tottenham podcaster Ricky Sachs questions the players' mentality and Tudor's tactics.
We've gone winless in 10 in the Premier League. We've conceded 2+ goals in the last 8 games, a new club record. There's no team that can survive given that run rate.
Spurs' 10th defeat on the spin at Fulham leaves them 4 points off the bottom 3. Meanwhile, the head of Iran's FA's cast doubt on whether they'll go to the World Cup. That's after the country's supreme leader was killed in bombing by the USA and Israel. And Jose Mourinho says Gianluca Prestiani's Benfica career is over if he's found guilty of racist abuse. Prestiani denies claims he used a racial slur towards Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. There's more at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. GambleAware.org.
Emmanuel Petit in studio with Simon and myself. We're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM. We're going to look at some of the odds round about some of the big competitions in the world of sport, world of football at this time. No bigger than the Premier League. Matt, good morning. Top half of the Premier League. How would you review it? What would you think?
Yeah, good morning, fellas. City getting the job done at Ellen Road. I thought if Leeds were going to make a fist of it, the Calvert-Lewin chance or the Aronson chance probably had to go in. City are too good to be kept out. But a decent performance from our boys. And then yesterday, as it's happened quite a lot, Jim, Man City have sort of thrown down the gauntlet and then said, "What have you got, Arsenal?" And most of the time, Arsenal have responded with 3 points. It wasn't necessarily a classic. I think I fell asleep for a wee bit in the second half, but Arsenal getting the job done, keeping them title favourites at 2-5. City a wee bit bigger at 7-4. I think the title race is still alive, very much still alive, Jim. We know these two sides play each other in the middle of April, and in behind them, positions 3, 4, 5, again very much alive. Who saw Wolves beating Villa 0 on Friday night? Liverpool, all right, they've not had their easiest of seasons, but scoring 5 at home will certainly lift the mood. And United on a superb run under Michael Carrick, come from behind to beat 10-man Crystal Palace. So in terms of the top two, Jim, it's game on. Positions 3, 4 and 5. Man United in the box seat for that. Concerns about Villa, Jim. 2 wins in their last 6. Maybe they're the side that miss out with Liverpool looking like they are quickening for that top 4 place.
It would be something, Emmanuel, wouldn't it, if having been in that group chasing Arsenal for so long, if Aston Villa drop out and then maybe drop out the Champions League places?
Yeah, that would be a failure because they've been doing very well from the start of the season, but honestly, they have been losing games and points, important points, and I think maybe Aston Villa are crushing under pressure.
Yeah.
That's what I think,
Yeah, they're feeling it. It's hot in the kitchen. What about the bottom half of the Premier League? What do you think there, Matt?
Well, I think only 2 wins and a draw from what I can make out from sides in the bottom half, Jim, over the weekend. Forest coming close yesterday, but Brighton getting a very much needed 3 points, I think, and Spurs they're in real danger here, Jim. I watched a little bit of that game from Craven Cottage, and I thought they really struggled. Just looking at Spurs, West Ham, Forest next few fixtures. Spurs have got Palace at home through the week, and then Liverpool away, which is sandwiched in between 2 ties against Atletico Madrid, and then Forest, and then Sunderland. West Ham have got to go to Craven Cottage, then City, Villa, Wolves, and Forest have got City midweek, Fulham, Spurs, Villa. The next 4, lads, there's only 10 games left. The next 4 for these sides are absolutely pivotal. You'd think Spurs have got to fancy Palace at home and try and put some distance between them and West Ham. West Ham got to go to the Cottage, and Forest have got to go to the Etihad. This midweek round of fixtures for Spurs certainly feels pivotal.
Yeah, it sure does. We're going to talk at more length very shortly with Manuel and Simon about Tottenham and where they're at the moment, the predicament they are in. Tonight, Matt, Birmingham Middlesbrough in the Championship. It's a talkSPORT 2 exclusive.
Yeah, we spoke 2 weeks ago, Jim, didn't we, when Borough were playing Coventry. We had Borough as 6-5 to win the division. They were in front of Coventry at the time, but 2 weeks is a long time in football, and it's pretty much 3 to 4 games in the Championship. And the picture has very much changed. Cov have gone on a great run after beating Borough 2 weeks ago. And the opposite for Middlesbrough, lost, draw is their last 3 fixtures. So feels like a lot of pressure on Middlesbrough tonight. And Birmingham have got their own battle. Just adrift of the top 6. They can get to 52 points tonight, which puts them in between Derby and Southampton. Only 5 points off Wrexham in 6th. The last game between these two was 2-1 Borough to win tonight, and both teams to score is around about 16-5, which feels like a good bet given Middlesbrough absolutely have to cling on to that top 2 spot, Jim. How difficult is it from a Championship side who've been in that 1-2 position all year? If they drop into the playoffs, you can't fancy Borough, can you? They've got to win this. They've got to hang on to the top 2.
Good stuff, Matt. As always, thanks so much. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
bet he just bought in a packet of disco salt vinegar, which I smashed down in that break. We've talked about Chris before. We won't go there necessarily. Unbelievable packet of Chris.
I think they could be their top 3 for definite. They could be Mount Rushmore, then.
Oh yeah, 100% Mount Rushmore. Yeah. The problem with that, and like all things now, I was going to say Chris, but all like Twix, Snickers, crisps, everything's smaller now.
No, but usually I grabbed these but usually there's a bigger bag than this.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
What does it say? What's that? It's 55. Oh, 55p for that.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I don't think that was that bad. But it says underneath RRP.
Yeah.
What's that?
Retail price.
Okay, 55p.
Yeah. What do you think it was like? They're going to die. Rest in peace.
Nah. There's a couple of items in the shop that I bought it from.
Yeah.
Well, I'm obviously not going to name where the shop is.
Yeah.
It says like, it says on the can, not for single sale.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you sending single Cokes then?
Were they doing that?
Yeah, I never tell you it is.
You can't do that.
I'd never ever say where it's from, but that I don't mind that.
An actual shop?
Yes.
Around here?
Not for. Oh, I'm telling you, not for individuals.
So you can tell me where is it? Is it downstairs or across the road?
No, it's not around here.
So it is.
It's the shop I go to. How can you sell them? Not for individual sale.
You know what that means, right?
What?
You know why it says it on that?
Yeah, because it's in a pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's opened a
cool,
pack.
So I knew that. I ain't got a problem with that.
No, I ain't got a problem with that at all. Yeah.
We all got to earn a living, right?
We've all got.
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in 3rd place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, what you gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman, what you are physically, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon.
It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Emmanuel Petit, live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. You know, you might be a World Cup winner, but you don't get away with anything on this show. While we're in the last break there, Mr. Jordan decided to climb all over Emmanuel Petit about his comments about Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And you thought that was unfair bias from Emmanuel
It was
on
very
the
negative.
Aston Villa predicament.
It was very negative, I thought. They've been in the top 4. They're still in the top 4. They remained in the top 4.
They were 3rd, now they're 4th. And they're...
I just thought it showed an unnecessary.
Point.
He should be calling the Aston Villa fan base to be supporting.
If you talk about Arsenal, they're still 1st. So if Aston Villa were staying, a 3rd position, I would say exactly the same. But they climb.
Yeah. The foot of the table is interesting. Aston Villa are well away from that area. Trust me. This morning, Leeds down there in 15th. Spurs going to get to them. 16th. Forest, I saw them yesterday at Brighton. You'll hear from James Milner shortly. 18th, West Ham. And of course, below them, Burnley and Wolves. Now, on Tottenham, where are they going at this particular time? Tottenham Hotspur on 29 points in 16th position. So it's getting sweaty palms time for a number of Tottenham Hotspur fans. Of that, there is no doubt. And of course, Thomas Frank, no longer there. Igor Tudor is in there on an interim basis. Pre-match, Tudor claimed that he didn't care whether or not the Tottenham squad liked his shock and awe approach, whilst believing he had enough soldiers in his Spurs squad. This was then his assessment post-match.
Cannot tell you nothing new. Nothing new. We need to find forces inside each of us. I said to the players, it's always what you're gonna do, what you want to do with yourself. You know, more personality, more wish to do before reacting. You know, plenty of things, lot of things. We are lack when we attack. We are lack of the you know, quality to score the goal. We are lack in the middle to run, and we are lack behind to stay there and suffer and not concede the goal. Football is sport of running and duels. I have sensation, you know, that Fulham players always arrive before, always even with the brain, you know, they arrive before us. They predict, and we are always delayed on everything. That's the problem.
Emmanuel, that's a fairly dire assessment of what he saw in his Tottenham side against Fulham. You're shaking your head. What do you think? Is he right?
I mean, he's explaining exactly what we're seeing for months now with Spurs. You know, it was kind of the same things, you know, what that was happening at Spurs last season. So Postecoglou was facing the same troubles. The last manager as well was facing the same problem too. So it's not a surprise. But to be honest with you, is it exactly what Spurs players are expecting from their new manager? Pointing the finger at them, you know, on the press conference, because they know they are weak. They know they don't do what the fans are expecting. You know, they know exactly that they have so many troubles, you know, on the pitch. Having a new manager pointing the finger at them like this on the press conference, and it's funny because afterwards he said, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I think because this is private, and I'm going to have to say that in the dressing room, but you did it. So, I mean, this is exactly the opposite what the players are expecting from the new manager. Don't point the finger at us because we know that we are not good at all. We need something different. We need a management different. We need something that can help us, you know, to become more confident on the pitch. And the link between the players, you know, on the pitch doesn't exist. You know, they're crushing under pressure all the time, and they are. When you look at the players, you know, they have quality. All of them, most of them, they are international players. I won't say that they are world-class players, but they're international, so it means something, you know. So those guys reached the European Cup final last season. They won the trophy. So I don't know. I cannot explain the differences between what's happening, you know, on the European scene and as well in the Premier League. But as far as I know, I know that if I am a player, I don't want to hear that from my manager.
Well, what do you want to hear though?
I want to get someone that brings confidence into the team, you know.
So you think he's wrong to point the finger and say, you lot, you're underachieving?
How many managers have done that in the past? I mean, do you think that is helpful, you know? Ruthless management like this? You know, he did it as well in France. It didn't work. So sometimes you have players that are hearing what the manager is saying and they respond in a good way. But you need to have character, as he said. You need to have personality. I'm not sure actually you have players that can handle that kind of communication.
But Simon, is it not your view? It's certainly mine that Tudor is only saying what many of the Tottenham fans are saying.
Sure, but
what's up with you lot waking up?
But that's not his job to say what the fans are saying. His job is to affect an outcome.
Yes.
And it's interesting to see what he thinks he gets out from it. We can all vent our spleens, but at the end of the day, we get nothing from it. What was the purpose of it? He's a new manager. I mean, he'll be talking about the back room, behind the scenes now, and how the club lacks ambition next, because that'll be his next default setting. That's about him. That's not about the players. On the converse, the players should be ashamed of themselves. Those Spurs players are a disgrace. To be in the position that they're in with the quality of the squad that they've got, it transcends just the culture of a football club. It transcends just the backroom, boardroom, whoever it is, the Lewis family or Daniel Levy, and it transcends the manager. It's about individual players thinking that they've gotten more, they're more important than they actually are. They're getting sucked into a relegation battle now. And it's gone beyond a joke now. I mean, I didn't expect them to win at Fulham, but I expect them to put on a commendable performance. I said last week, without wanting to be too much of a doomsday merchant, if they get beat by Palace and Fulham, they've got existential mortal jeopardy now, because they're now in a situation where they follow Liverpool up. They're going to get beat by Liverpool unless they really turn up in that game. And if they can turn up against Liverpool and they can't against Palace and Fulham, then they're cheats.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that Spurs are getting... The only thing that's keeping Spurs in this division is a lack of performance from other sides. The only thing that at this moment in time that will keep Spurs in the Premier League is that West Ham won't win enough games. That's the only thing that will keep them in the league at this moment in time. I mean, and the players need to be held accountable. But how you do that, if you want to settle scores and tell these players that have got so much to say for themselves, tell you what they're entitled to, tell you what they should be paid, tell you what treatment they should expect, tell you what they expect of everybody around them. But when it comes to what you expect of them, oh, no, not me, Gov, it's the manager's fault. But the point is that's what you've got right now. So he's got to find a better way than perhaps barracking them in the press.
They haven't won in the league since December the 28th, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
I mean, let's invent a situation. Say you were Igor Tudor, you went to Fulham and you lost. What would you be saying post-match?
I mean, you're paying for a big club. You're earning big wages. Take your responsibility now. Stop hiding. As I said, we are talking about players that play for their country, most of them. Where have you been?
But you're saying you'd say that privately and not publicly?
Of course.
You would not say that
I'm
publicly?
not going to add more pressure on the players publicly. But,
what's the point of it? What's the point? There's a playbook, right? You get to the final page of the playbook, which is I've done every other thing first, right, to get them going, and I go to the final page and go, right, you're crap in the public domain. Yeah. You don't get there first as your default setting. Now, maybe he does.
But Simon, he's only going to be there for 5 minutes, Tudor.
Sure.
He may as well make an impact.
But
he doesn't care.
But you make an impact in the right way. You don't play to the gallery.
In front of the press, you want to make an impact?
There's no benefit to that. There's no benefit. He doesn't have enough traction with the players to call them out. He doesn't have enough of a relationship with the players to be able to have an impact. Or we'll show you. They don't care about him. They'll see him off because he's only going to be there 4 months' time. So they don't care about what he says. They just care about what they think. And what should be a jeopardy for them is that it sucks them into a situation which is actually, you're not a Premier League footballer anymore if you get relegated. You don't get to leave the football club at this particular moment in time and go somewhere else because it suits you better and you're no longer part of the equation. But the players... Everybody's got to take responsibility here for this equation. And Spurs have got to get themselves together. If they get beat by Palace on Wednesday or whenever it is...
Thursday. Yeah.
Which seeing how dispirited Palace are at times...
They're at home to Palace.
That's not an advantage at the moment, is it? That's not an advantage.
No, it's not.
If Tottenham start badly against Palace, do you think their fans are going to be cheering them?
Can you believe where they are, Emmanuel? You live in Paris, but I know you study the English game all the time. Yeah. You know Tottenham Hotspur. Played 28, won 7.
I know. It's the same season last season.
Do you think they'll get relegated?
Sooner or later, if they keep on doing what they're doing, they're going to be relegated. Definitely.
I mean, if they lose, as Simon says, they go to Palace. They're home to Palace on Thursday night. If they lose, would Tudor not be right then to come out and say, right, this lot, and hammer them?
For what reason? What does it achieve? It makes people happy.
Nothing else is working.
But what does it achieve? He vents his spleen, and people go, right on, well done. You're not a fan, you're a football manager. You're not a media, you're a football manager. So you've got to find the key behind the scenes, not in front of the cameras.
Are the players good enough to get out of this, Emmanuel?
Of course. They won the European League last season. Look at Manchester United. They were in the same position last season. Look what they are now.
I see where you are now, but not for long because you're about to depart the scene.
I'm sorry, guys.
And head to St. Pancras and get the
Stop saying negative thing about Arsenal.
This will go on. This will go on, I can tell you. Emmanuel Petit, merci bien.
Merci.
OK, encore une fois. It is 12 noon this Monday lunchtime.
I really don't understand why a manager has to have previous experience in the environment that he's going into. You all appeal for the best in class. How did that work at Manchester United with Van Gaal, Mourinho and Rangnick, says Paul. Morning, guys.
Well, two of them won trophies.
Southgate could only handle the British players. Foreign players wouldn't have the same respect for him. They wouldn't be enticed to play for Manchester United. He wouldn't have the pulling power. He'll be a failure to be at Manchester United. Abby is a Manchester United fan in Glasgow. Matthew says, a great show again. For me, Southgate is the next Crystal Palace manager, potentially European football again next year, has potential to do similar to what Emery has done at Villa and take them into top 4 contention. Supportive chairman and his former club, says Matt in Glasgow.
That's the level. That is the level. And that's not disrespectful. I think it'd be a good fit.
He's had a good old freak out.
Count to 10 addicts.
Yeah. He's not a happy boy there. It's because you asked him.
No, I'm not happy boy because you didn't want to have the same debate we've had over and over again, and then you had the same debate we've had over and over again. I tried to.
You two did. I told you not to do that, but you did it anyway.
But as well, on a serious note, though, how much does Gareth Southgate want to manage?
Well, that's one of the key questions, actually.
Then, like,
because I've always had the impression that he doesn't want to go back into it unless it's a job that he cannot turn down.
Yes.
Because the pressure was so high on him. And I remember speaking to him after he'd resigned from England and he was over in the on a holiday, chilling out, and he was like, I've got absolutely no desire to come back. No desire. I just need the time off.
I can imagine it's a lot of pressure.
All that pressure. It's all the pressure, all the attention. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. Your whole life is completely ensconced in analysing players and thousands of them over the course of the year.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
We do headlines at 2 minutes past 12. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Are you enjoying Premier League football less and less in this new set-piece era? Well, Arne Slot's not loving it.
Most of the games I see in the Premier League are not, for me, a joy to watch. But it's always interesting because it's so competitive. And that is what makes this league great, because there's so much competitiveness. Everyone can win from everyone.
Liverpool go to Wolves tomorrow. Florian Wirtz is still out injured. Meanwhile, as Arsenal go 5 points clear, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's gutted. His former club Chelsea had to limp on with 10 men at the Emirates.
Arsenal didn't play well. They got the 3 points. That's really what a champion does.
Arsenal go to Brighton on Wednesday. Man City have a game in hand and host Nottingham Forest. Meanwhile, what does Hasselbank make of Chelsea's record 9th red card of the season?
Naivety. I think it's being young. I think also there have to be a little bit more structure.
Liam Rossini admits Chelsea's ill-discipline could cost them a Champions League spot. Serena Wiegmann's Lionesses are in close contact with the government following unrest in the Middle East. England are in Turkey to play Ukraine in a World Cup qualifier. There's no suggestion the quad are in danger right now. Meanwhile, the head of Iran's FA has cast doubt on whether they'll go to the World Cup. This after the country's supreme leader was killed in strikes by the USA and Israel. And Olympic 800 metres champion Keely Hodgkinson will not be competing at this year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. It's due to her busy schedule. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Foreign Office is planning to evacuate more than 100,000 people from the Middle East, and reports suggest multiple people have been stabbed in Edinburgh. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, "Ooh, it's a bit nippy this winter." Book today at quickfit.com.
In the west, patchy outbreaks of rain with brisk winds. Drier in the east with bright spells, average temperatures and turning more settled.
Good afternoon, everybody. 4 minutes past 12 noon this Monday afternoon. We're into the month of March and we'll whiz through that, no doubt. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Our thanks to Emmanuel Petit, who's headed on out. Goodness knows what he thought of that first 2 hours, but I think he enjoyed it. Emmanuel Petit, World Cup winner, of course, and a man with opinion.
He's got a headache now.
He's got a bit of a headache now, which he'll nurse in a very nice seat in the Eurostar back to the Gare du Nord in Paris. It was quite a weekend. I was at Brighton yesterday, sitting in the boardroom at Brighton, no less, before the game against Nottingham Forest, and feasting my eyes on the Old Firm, which was on a very large screen, coming live from Glasgow. Before they played, Rangers and Celtic, that is, Hearts beat Aberdeen on Saturday 1-0 to extend their lead at the top of the table. Then yesterday, Rangers and Celtic locked horns. Rangers led 2-0, and you were saying to me, Simon, that they were extremely impressive at that stage. It looked like only one winner, and it wasn't Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very critical of Scottish football, and I thought at times the quality wasn't always there in the game, but the temperature and the goals that were scored by Rangers in the first half were at a different level. The intensity of the game, the absolute drive to win from Rangers in the first half was there, and the goals that their centre forward scored were absolutely outstanding.
Right, so Celtic got back into it, and then somewhat controversially at the end, penalty kick, in spite of heroics from Jack Butland, the ball hit the back of the net, and it was a point apiece. So Hearts lead the way on 63 points, Rangers on 57, Celtic 55, and Motherwell, ominously, in fourth place on 53 points. In a moment, we'll talk to top Scottish football journalist Bill Leckie. But as far as Danny Rowland, Martin O'Neill were concerned, where did that leave the title race?
We have now 6 points, the gap. Still 9 games to go. I will be not tired and say this again and again. This year it's about the final match day, not today, and we will fight for every point until the end. And next week in the cup we have the next chance against them. We will try to improve. This is key. And then we go again. I think 9 games, it's massive. It's a lot of things to go and for playing, and I totally believe to my players.
Believe it or not, there is a bit of disappointment in the dressing room there that we weren't able to carve out the other chance or take the other chance. We carved out some chances in the game, but for us at 2-0 down and at Ibrox here, and you're thinking to yourself, will the championship just kind of just disappear? Really under your noses. Well, we're far from finished.
Bill Leckie joins us live this lunchtime. Bill, is it more of a missed opportunity for Rangers, this?
Well, at 2-0, Simon's absolutely right. At 2-0, Rangers were on fire. They were tremendous. 2 magnificent goals from Youssef Chamiti. And they came off the park at half-time to an enormous ovation, and Celtic were all over the place. For some reason, the second half, Rangers, as they have done recently quite a lot in the league, they looked a little bit paralysed by the opportunity that was in front of them, and they didn't know whether to stick or twist. And they dropped more points. I think that's 4 draws in the last 5 league games, and it's damaging them. And Danny Rowe got a bit spiky when he was asked about their mentality after the game yesterday. But I think their fans are quite entitled to ask if they are strong enough to go all the way in this fight now.
Wow. So, I mean, in terms of reeling in Hearts, if that is going to happen, who do you think is more capable of doing it? Rangers, Celtic, or even Motherwell?
Well, I would say I've said all along that from first few weeks of the season, I've fancied Hearts to win it. I think Motherwell on the day are still the best footballing team in the league, and could still be kingmakers because they have them all to play. But Rangers and Celtic, I mean, neither of them can be ruled out. It would be an idiot who ruled either of them out of the fight. If Celtic had lost yesterday, they'd have been really struggling. If they go to Aberdeen in midweek and win their game in hand, they come back into it a little bit. It's just so hard to call. I think most neutrals have said this on here before, want Hearts to win the league. But, Rangers and Celtic, despite themselves, will take it right down to the wire.
As Bill rightly says, Simon, Celtic could go second if they win their game in hand, and that's in Aberdeen.
They appear to be there only on gravitas, really, because if you look at the quality of Celtic, I mean, the Celtic keep coming back after half-time. They did it against Kilmarnock last week, so you have to give some praise to Celtic and in terms of diminishing Rangers. But the Rangers were in so much control of this game. For it to be night and day between two performances, you have to have a look at that. They're no doubt better with this new manager in place. This manager clearly is going to be a manager that might be able to deliver Rangers as a force again and start winning titles again. Celtic are a shadow of themselves as defending champions, despite people suggesting that Brendan Rodgers was right. He was part of the problem as well. Martin is working with a substandard Celtic side and managing to get results out of them, because if he'd lost yesterday, that would have been 3 losses out of 4, and all of a sudden the Martin O'Neill factor would start coming into people's minds. But they are getting into positions of still being in control of their own, still being in control of themselves to perhaps be in the title race, only on gravitas now, not on the quality of the team. And if Hearts have got the strength of character to believe in themselves, which I think they have, because this is a brilliant weekend for them, then they can go on and win this league now, and I hope that they do.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about belief at this stage, Bill.
Yeah.
On Rangers, Bill, have they developed a softness that we haven't seen before?
I just don't know. I don't think they know how to get the job done sometimes. I wouldn't say I thought Martin O'Neill reacted very well at half-time. He made 2 changes that really changed things. He brought off a young striker, Adamu, who was out of his depth, and he brought off Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who didn't have the legs to get about the park. And he made a big difference. Danny Roll didn't react well enough, and I think that's a big argument of Rangers fans, is that in-game management, he's sticking with the same players until they run out of fuel, which they most definitely did yesterday. So I think that's something he has to learn at this stage of the season. How does he use his squad better? Because he has a deeper squad than Celtic has. He's got more players who are much of a muchness, whereas Celtic probably have an 11, which they don't have the full 11 at the moment. And then after that, they're kind of struggling a bit. But I'm with Simon on this. I think if Hearts could stand up on their 2 feet, if they're handling their injuries very well at the moment. 2 weekends in a row, they've won at home 1-0, and then they've watched on the Sunday Rangers and Celtic drop points. It's been a great time for them, and they're down into single figures now, 9 games to go. And it's I've said for a long time, it's theirs to lose.
Yeah, Hearts going so well. Well done, Derek McInnes. Here's the thing, Bill.
Yeah.
If Celtic under Martin reel Hearts in and end up winning it, is that the end of this disconnect between the board and the fans?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a deeper thing. I think the fans are now into this thing, or certainly a section of the fans, the loudest section of the fans, are into this thing now where they back the team and sack the board. That's the whole thing with them now. And I don't think that disconnect goes away, because they still don't like the way the club's being run. And for me, there's a lot of self-entitlement in there that really shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be getting the oxygen they are for the kind of things they're saying. They're making threats against people on the board. They're driving people out of their jobs. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But you can understand why they think the club hasn't been run properly when they're sitting on a mountain of money, and yet they have, as Simon said, a substandard team. So I don't think the disconnect would go away even if Martin O'Neill came back and won the league. I think they would celebrate win the league, then they would go back to hating the board again.
They go back to it. I mean, you would have thought, Simon, delivering a title would placate many of those supporters, but seemingly not.
Well, it will pacify them for the moment they've won the league, but it will not dampen their ardour for the dislike. It's seeded in them now, and they've been given oxygen, so they've gotten braver and stronger in their opinions, and now they're going beyond the pale of saying certain things and pushing the envelope a little bit too far. But that was up to the Celtic board, and they didn't help themselves. They haven't helped themselves in some of their communications. It was a ridiculous shareholder meeting that they shouldn't have had the son of Dermot Desmond wagging his finger and lecturing people. I understand he's want to do it, but when you're in a position of authority and influence and control, what you want to do and what you should do are 2 different things.
I reckon it's a chance for Motherwell to steal another march, though, Bill, is it not? Because I think, if memory serves me right, next weekend they're not in Cup. They'll go Dundee. Is that right?
Yeah, and then after that they've got Celtic. I have to say, Simon talks about Danny Roll and the job he's done at Rangers. Jens Bertel Askew at Motherwell has come from nowhere, and the man is brilliant. Motherwell fans will hate this, but somebody's going to come and get him very soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was Celtic who tried to get him. The guy is tactically brilliant, and Simon will appreciate this as the guy who used to sign the cheques at a football club. His ability to make players better than they were is quite extraordinary. They've been a breath of fresh air this season, Motherwell, and they still can have a big say in where this title goes.
Bill, let me ask you one before you leave us. of course, I was up there for years, and I know the Scottish game. Not so much now. You do. This situation that we're in of clubs outside the old firm challenging, and seriously challenging as Hearts are, you could argue that Motherwell have mounted a challenge as well. Is this the new norm?
Well, I would love it to be. I'm not sure it will be. You would think that Rangers and Celtic would go away and dust themselves down, whatever happens, and say, this cannot happen again. Let's get this sorted out. But it's wonderful for now, and we just enjoy it in the moment. We had it the last time we had it was in the 80s with Aberdeen and Dundee United. We've now got it with Hearts and Motherwell coming up on the rails as well. I would love that. We've had a terrible attitude up here, Jim. See when Crystal Palace win the FA Cup, for instance, Leicester win the league. Everybody sees it in England as a fairy tale. Up here, we seem to see it as some kind of weakness in the old firm if they don't win everything. You know, it's as if why has the status quo been upset? I love it being upset. I would love it if my team won the League Cup or still in the Scottish Cup. If the old firm won nothing, I would absolutely love it.
Brilliant, Bill. Keep your head down after that comment, mate. But I know where you're going.
It's just so refreshing when something new happens. And apart from anything else, it might make Rangers and Celtic go and reset and rethink and do things differently. And that's not a bad thing either. You know, I think we have to keep the complacency that set in for Celtic when Rangers were out of the top leagues was quite remarkable, and they've never quite pushed themselves back to the standards that they could be at, you know, off the field at least. And I think this is just brilliant what's happening just now. I think it's magnificent.
Superb. Bill Leckie, as always, thank you so much. So Celtic have a chance to go second again. If they can win in midweek up at Aberdeen, we shall see. On the way, about 12:30, you're going to be hearing from James Milner, who quite incredibly knocked up 655 Premier League games yesterday. Unreal, in the colours of Brighton, of course, in a win over Nottingham Forest. You'll hear from James shortly.
England striker Ivan Toney joined Drive Today's show and was asked whether he wants to see Arsenal win the title.
Arsenal fans hate me as it is, so I can't say too much. But now, you know, I do want them to win. I think it's boring City winning all the time. It would be nice for us, another team to win. Also, a couple friends at Arsenal also. So I think, it'll be special for them. Obviously being so close for so long, and hopefully they can finally get over the line. But I think they know City have been there, done it. So City have that little advantage, but I feel like Arsenal maybe can do it this time.
Yuck. That's what I'm going to say. Do not want Arsenal winning the title. I'm a Chelsea fan, right? It's the way it should be, right? It's the way it should be, Dina. Don't look at me like that. I don't want Arsenal winning the title, mate. All right? I've said all season they will, and I fear I'm going to be proven right. All right? I don't want to win the title.
Right. I thought the massive London derby was Spurs-Tottenham. Spurs-Arsenal.
Yeah, right? They're North London derby, yeah.
So who's Chelsea's biggest rivals? Spurs?
In London, Spurs. I mean, they say Fulham and QPR and Brentford. They're not. No.
So why do you hate Arsenal then?
No, I don't hate Arsenal. I just don't want Arsenal win the title.
Why?
Because they're London. I don't want anyone in London doing well. In fact, someone's got to win the Premier League title. Give it to Man City. That's all I've got to say. Give it to City.
Well,
no, not give it to City.
What's your reasons for that? Just because they're
because Arsenal fans are unbearable. They're unbearable. They haven't won the title in 22 years. They're still unbearable, all of them. Honestly, the entitlement from them. Their Premier League record for the last 22 years, they've not been involved in it, right? Okay, they've had a couple of skirmishes with City. Their European status is absolutely disgustingly bad.
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in third place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, what your gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman, what you are physically, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon.
It is Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Simon, of course, you have to be living on the moon not to notice what is going on away from the sporting arena at this particular time. Over the weekend, the US and Israel launched airstrikes on major Iranian cities. The strikes, as we know, killed Iran's supreme leader. Iran is now retaliating with its own missiles on Israel and US air bases in the Gulf region, including the United Arab Emirates, Qatar and Bahrain. Only yesterday, got a message from Graham Souness, who's in Dubai at the moment. Hopes to get back tomorrow because of the disruption out there to flights, etc., etc. Now, what we do know is Iran is due to play the group stage matches against New Zealand, Belgium in Los Angeles and Egypt in Seattle. They have made it to the World Cup finals. FIFA says it's focusing on everybody participating in this summer's tournament. But now Iran reportedly, and it seems threatening, to pull out of the Summer World Cup because of the current situation. Mehdi Taj, the president of the Iranian Football Federation, speaking on the Iranian TV network Tehran, has said, with what happened today, over the weekend, of course, and the attack by the United States, it's unlikely that we can look forward to the World Cup. But the sports chiefs are the ones who will decide on that. I mean, clearly, their participation must be in some kind of jeopardy at this time.
I would have thought so. It's a very difficult circle to square, isn't it? I mean, we've had all these challenges over the years with certain circumstances, but this is a situation where the host nation has just launched a campaign against the country, assassinated their leader, in my view, justifiably so, but notwithstanding that, in this situation, it brings out, whilst I always will campaign for the idea that politics and causes should be removed from football and football should just be about sport. That's me wishing that to be so, knowing that it isn't and knowing that people will use it for their own advantages. It's difficult to see what the Americans' attitude would be like. I mean, I think this will be concluded by that time and stability will have been returned, and I think there's a lot more thinking than people just giving credit to Trump's actions, but we'll see about that. But the idea that the Iranians will want to go to the World Cup, I mean, they've said it themselves. It feels like it's a situation where even as a sporting event, I can't imagine that their players by the American public are going to be gratefully received as representatives of Iran, given the fact you're seeing American soldiers dying, you're seeing American soldiers in war, and there's going to be that kind of feel around it. Not that kind of feel, that's what it's going to be. I would feel that by the time to get to June, and hope that this would have settled more, as much as that region will ever settle. But I mean, you wonder how the Iranian players will feel representing their country, wearing the shirt of their country, in the country that's attacked them, the country that's attacked them. Yeah, and that's the point. So I mean, again, trying to separate sport, and I always try not to be a hypocrite. And people will accuse me of saying, "Well, when the politics suit you, you'll quite happily do it." It's not really true. What I prefer is all of it to be kept out. But I do understand in certain circumstances how it's going to be practically impossible for this situation, unless there's a complete and utter accord that breaks out over the next 3 months that changes the direction of travel.
It's hard to see that countries can come together on the pitch while they fight each other off it.
Even more so when you're coming. It's one thing playing a football match between America and Iran in some neutral space. You're coming to the host nation.
Yeah,
the Americans are hosting. I mean, Iran are playing in the mainland America, aren't they? Not playing in Mexico or Canada, are they?
Oh no, they're playing Los Angeles and Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to what happened many years ago when East Germany played West Germany, this is a totally different set of circumstances, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, did banning Russia set the precedent over how sports should react?
Well, not really, because what they're now doing is rolling back from that, aren't they? What sports?
4 years on.
Yeah, and you've got Gianni Infantino in his infinite wisdom suggesting that actually is something he wants to row back from, and potentially include the Russians going forward, because really and truly this idea, and I've never been a subscriber to it, and you've characterised it in many conversations, and I understand why, which is not giving them a platform because it feeds the propaganda machine. This is not 1936 Germany where you're only getting one view of the thing. You're getting 360-degree views of what happens in the world, and people are formulating opinions based upon a whole raft of biases, agendas, or information. And so the idea that political leaders can just weaponise it and see their athletes on a plinth and subsequently gain power from it, I think is a construct of the media. And I don't think propaganda really can exist in the way that it once did before.
But what is a matter of fact here, Simon, sorry to interrupt you, is that Russia, in terms of the invasion of Ukraine, were the aggressor.
Yeah.
The United States under Trump are the aggressor.
Well, depends for the reasons behind it. If indeed Trump has legitimacy, but I don't think you go to war on the back of what lawyers tell you. You go to war to make decisions that are going to affect the safety of the nation that you're going to war on behalf of, i.e., and the Israelis will have the same view. And there'll be no doubt some proclamations about the reasons why they've done that, and they might be steeped in deep-seated good reasons, and it might lessen the idea that they are the aggressor and the aggression was a necessity. We'll find that out in the fullness of time. But irrespective of whether they were the aggressor or a reactor, if Iran were the aggressor, it would still make the situation as untenable as it is as the Americans are.
Now, and this has nothing to do with the way I or others think about Trump, but is that FIFA Peace Prize feeling more flimsy with each passing week?
Well, it depends what value you attach to it. I mean, does anybody really of any significance take it particularly seriously?
Infantino and FIFA.
Yeah,
they put it front and centre of what they're all about.
That's because they drink their own Kool-Aid, right? But the fact of the matter is, in the world outside of sports, where the economic wheels turn and the tectonic plates shift, what was it about? It was really about creating some sort of overstated valuation of sport's importance to the global scheme of things. Sport is important, I get it, and it actually does change the way people participate and view the world. But when it comes down to it, do I sit there and think, well, that's a wonderful award that it was given, it's so meaningful? It was about the host nation, led by a very powerful leader that's very personally involved in most things and likes the light being shone on him, and a football operation in the same way that Gianni Infantino blew as much smoke up every single thorb that he possibly could whilst he was in Qatar, in terms of telling everybody what he believed in and subscribed to the views and how he was an Arab for that particular day. It's a version of that with a more narcissistic individual in Trump. Yeah. And so does it hold any currency? No. So when you ask the question, does it look more flimsy? It always looked flimsy. It always looked meaningless. It always, to me, had no substance.
Always?
Always.
And always will?
Well, first of all, at the time it was given...
He's talking about a peace prize gong round his neck, at the time, having pinched Maduro out of Venezuela and gone in and around.
Okay.
Give me that peace prize.
And for reasons at the time that they awarded it, and we can always look posthumously at circumstances where people have subsequently changed in future times and go, well, blimey, we could take that award back. I mean, we live in a world where people have to go back 25 years to try and discredit people. So you can always find a way to do it, right? But in this instance, at the time they awarded it because they believed that he was a wonderful advocate of peace. And sometimes you have to have, the purpose of war is peace in the end, isn't it? So the bottom line is should football really be making these wars that are not necessary Get hold of yourselves. Get a little sense check of what you're really about. You really are about running football. And why are you delving in this area? It's not a necessity for it.
It was ill-advised, wasn't it?
It's a vanity play. And cozying up. And that's what Inventano...
Do you think Gianni will ask for it back?
I don't know. He's once he removes his head from Trump's backside, which was where David Dean had his up, Infantino's on Friday, then on Thursday, then we'll have perhaps a more grown-up conversation. But it is what it is. I make the point in a rather repetitive way. It's a meaningless award as far as I'm concerned.
Sure is. Was that a head up the backside gesture?
Yes.
Thanks for that. 12:30.
That's a fantastic draw for Arsenal, really, to be in that part of the draw as well, because not only have they got Leverkusen, they then play the winners of Sporting and Bodo Glimt, so they've got a great run. In fact, it could be that you could get a North London derby in the semi-finals of the competition if everything goes to plan. But their potential opponents in the quarterfinals, should they beat Leverkusen, Arsenal, would end up being Bodo Glimt or Sporting. And then they would face the winners of the quarterfinal, which is between Newcastle, Barcelona or Atletico Madrid against Tottenham. So the draw in full then, Paris Saint-Germain against Chelsea, Galatasaray against Liverpool. The winners of those two ties will play each other in the quarterfinals of the competition. Real Madrid will take on Manchester City, and Atalanta will play Bayern Munich. The winners of those two ties will meet in the quarterfinals. So we could have a Manchester City Bayern Munich reunification with Vincent Kompany in the quarterfinals of the competition, or we could have Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, some of the most prolific champions in Champions League history, meeting at the quarterfinal stage. Newcastle and Barcelona is the next fixture that came out of the hat. They will face the winners of Atletico Madrid and Tottenham Hotspur in the quarterfinals, and then Bodo Glimt, Sporting and Leverkusen Arsenal completes the draw. Well, certainly Arsenal have come out more favourably than anybody else.
Incredible.
It's incredible. I mean, they've got to at least get to the semi-finals for me, if not the final itself. It couldn't have gone any better from a Gunners' perspective.
Mikel Arteta says his heart stopped at the Emirates before David Raya clawed away Garnacho's cross-come shot in the dying moments.
I think we started the game so well. The first half was so dominant, but the margins were almost nothing, and it should have been much bigger.
Arsenal stay 5 points clear. They hung on to a 2-1 win over Chelsea. All 3 goals from corners. Ray Parlour's looking forward to England's set-piece World Cup.
And Reece James, he should be in the squad. Who's going to take the set plays? Because you've got Declan Rice. He whips him in from that right-hand side. Saka takes him on from the left. And Reece put some fantastic balls in, I must admit.
Meanwhile, Liam Rossini says Chelsea need to sort out their set-piece defence and discipline issues if they're to make the top 5. Pedro Neto's red card was their 9th of the season, a new record. Igor Tudor's accusing Raul Jimenez of cheating and called Thomas Bramall a home referee. But Tottenham podcaster Ricky Sachs questions the players' mentality and Tudor's tactics.
You know, we've gone winless in 10 in the Premier League. We've conceded 2+ goals in the last 8 games, a new club record. You know, there's no team that can survive given that run rate.
Spurs' 10th defeat on the spin at Fulham leaves them 4 points off the bottom three. Meanwhile, the head of Iran's FA's cast doubt on whether they'll go to the World Cup. That's after the country's supreme leader was killed in bombing by the USA and Israel. And Jose Mourinho says Gianluca Prestiani's Benfica career is over if he's found guilty of racist abuse. Prestiani denies claims he used a racial slur towards Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. There's more at talksport.com.
White and Jordan's weekend football roundup on talkSPORT with Trustford. Discover the world of Trustford for you at trustford.co.uk.
Looking back at the weekend with Trustford, it's hard to imagine a player, a footballer, more suited to coming into a category like this. We're putting the focus on who could be construed as the most trusted player. Who would fit the bill there? At Brighton yesterday, taking to the field for the 655th time in a Premier League match was one James Milner. Not only did James start the game, he played almost all of it, 655 Premier League appearances, and the 40-year-old played a blinder, was man of the match as Brighton managed to overcome Nottingham Forest by 2-1. So he's a record breaker in every sense. And I spoke to James afterwards in the boardroom. He was given a special presentation, and rightly so. And he spoke about clocking up this amazing number of Premier League games.
It's been a pretty good week, I think. Like I say, it's always about the team, so it's a boring thing to say, but it is most important. Pleased to be on the field and contributing and playing big minutes and contributing to 2 wins. That was special, so it made the week even more special, I think. You know, I'm not used to things being about me, really. It is always about the team, but the messages I've had this week and from my ex-clubs and current club and Premier League and people around you, it's nice. It shows, you know, the impact. You always want to make an impact and contribute to teams and your teammates, and you know the messages you've had and tributes there's been. It's been pretty incredible. So that's special, and what you want really, you want to be valued and you want to contribute to the places you've been.
Your standards throughout your entire career, and what a career, have been so high. How have you managed to maintain them?
I think it's just determination, really. I think it's wanting to be the best. I think it's pushing, and you know, I think that day where you can't be bothered going to the gym, or the day you don't want to be the best player in training, or it doesn't hurt you when you're not picked, whether you're 40 years old or not. You know, I think it's time to hang them up, and I still have that frustration. I still want to be the best. I still want to get in an ice bath after a game. So, you know, it is tough when to know when to stop playing. I feel like I can keep doing it. I think the last few performances said that, but things do change quickly in football, you know, especially when you get older. And a year ago, I couldn't lift my foot off the floor, you know, after the knee operation and with the nerve problem. So, you know, I didn't know if I'd walk properly again, and to be playing Premier League football is incredible, and amazing help that I've had at the club from the physio Sean Duggan and other people. So who knows, you know, people say play as long as you can. So it's a tough thing to know when to stop, but hopefully I'm still contributing and helping the boys in the dressing room at this moment in time.
So will you have a big decision to make at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you take it a game at a time and see what happens. Things change quickly. At the moment, things are going well. I'm playing football and contributing to the team, and we're winning games. Who knows if that'll be the case in 6 weeks' time or 8 weeks. But and then you're going into another season and next year. But you know, I think it is a tough decision to make, but I still have that fire, and hopefully I'm still performing on the field. So let's have conversations, and I'm open to anything at this point.
With all this amazing experience, James, management must be on the horizon. After you do say, that's it for me, or will it? You're smiling broadly.
I mean, maybe it's obviously an option. It's a very difficult job, I know that. You know, you see people doing really well and getting a new contract, and then they get sacked 2 weeks or a month later or something. So it's such a hard gig, and maybe that might attract me to it because I enjoy a challenge. But I have been very fortunate. The managers I've played under, the players I've played with, I've got all this experience. So it'd be a shame not to be able to use that. But I know Jurgen always told me that whenever you do finish, you need a break first and foremost. The intensity you've had for so many years, 24, 25 years, whatever, you need that break and that recharge and see what you want to do. So I think that'll be first and foremost, and let's see what happens.
Have you had your former managers on to you congratulating you? You mentioned Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, Jurgen messaged me the other week, and I've messages from so many people going back to Newcastle and Leeds even, and it's great. I've been very fortunate to play some incredible football clubs and work with some amazing people, and them taking the time out to send a message, and that's obviously nice, and I've been fortunate for the journey I've had.
The standards you have, James, just do not go away. And this is the incredible thing about you. You just fight and fight and fight to be the best.
Yeah, I think that's important. I'm fortunate to have a lot of good teammates around. Welbs is incredible. The age, he's getting on, but no one says he is because of my age. Like, I take the pressure off him, but how good he's playing at this moment in time, and has done since I've been at the club, he's incredible. The nick he's in, the goals he's scoring, the work he does for the team. Steely's a great example to have. Donkey been struggling with an injury recently and just guts it out. He's incredible. So we are, like I said before, we have an incredible dressing room, and one I'm proud to be part of, and one that makes you desperate to maintain them standards and push the guys and keep pushing them to be better. And the manager as well, I think he's done a great job since he's been here, and he's obviously young and he's learning on the job, but I think he's done a great job, and hopefully getting the rewards now. The last 2 victories, hopefully we can finish the season strong, because he's been relentless as well, and he sets that level.
And finally, I don't think you're going to be hearing the phone ring from Thomas Tuchel. Mind you, speaking to you, James, who knows? Do you hope for big things for England in the summer?
Obviously, you always want England to win a trophy, and we seem to have been so close in recent tournaments, and the players we have some world-class talent, and you see Carrick, what he's doing every single week and every single year, and obviously the players playing at Real Madrid and players pushing in the Premier League and challenging for that. So, I think that the more these players are used to winning trophies and at club level and being successful and being on the world stage, I think, more chance we have of winning a trophy.
That was James Milner speaking to me yesterday down at Brighton. And James, as I said, man of the match performance, Simon. And they went on to beat Nottingham Forest by 2-1. That's just a tiny part of his story, obviously. I mean, a player like James Milner doesn't come along every day. Still 40, and at 40,
to play in the Premier League,
still not certain as to whether or not he'll hang up his boots yet.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he has the enthusiasm and the desire to still want to be operating at the highest level goes to the testament of you're a long time retired. I mean, look at the clubs he's played for. Leeds, a decent time in Leeds' time, performing at a decent level. Leeds, Newcastle, Villa, Man City, Liverpool. These are all big clubs. I mean, it is helped. The longevity is helped by the fact that over 24 years, if you play 27 games a season, and 30% of those are substitute appearances, that will help towards the longevity. But that's irrelevant. He's a consummate pro. He's a good influence in the dressing room. All I've ever heard about from him, I think he played for Graham, didn't he, as well, at Newcastle for a while, is that he was a consummate professional. And you don't get to sign for these clubs, these big clubs. All of them are big clubs. Leeds is a big club. Newcastle's a big club. Aston Villa's a big club. Liverpool, certainly a big club. And Manchester City, in recent times, has been no bigger club in terms of achievements. So all of those are a testament to his character. The longevity of still at this stage in his career wanting to play tells you something about the fella. Yeah. More of them and less of a few of the other ones that are a little bit...
Well, interestingly that you say that. Moments ago with Emmanuel Petit, when he was here, we were talking about the Tottenham Hotspur players right now and how they have to look at themselves because of the predicament they're in. I would doubt if Milner's ever come off a pitch and hasn't left everything out there.
No, I think that he might come off a pitch where sometimes he hasn't been as good as certain players on the other side. But one thing he's never been probably accused of not being good enough from an application and attitude point of view.
Absolutely.
And I think that tells you something about the character of the man.
Yeah.
So he will have substance, and that's why he's still playing at 40 years of age, and he should be celebrated. And 655 games in a great career. I mean, obviously it's a bit disappointing for him to end up his career at Brighton, but there we are.
There was always going to be a butt in there, wasn't there? James, well done to you. And of course, Brighton, I think, in midweek to take on Arsenal. So who's to say he doesn't get a Man of the Match award in that one? James Milner, 655 Premier League appearances. A record. That was our look back at the weekend's football action with TrustFord.
White and Jordan's weekend football roundup on talkSPORT with TrustFord. Discover great value, expert service and award-winning vehicles at trustford.co.uk.
So when an old friend I know drops by to say hello, will I still see suspicion in your eyes?
Absolutely.
There we go again, Ray. Here we go.
Come on now.
You're asking where I've been.
Whoa.
You can't see the tears are real, I'm crying. Sing it, Ray.
We can go on together with suspicious minds.
Build our dreams on suspicious minds. That's beautiful.
Right. People can put the radio back on.
I just want to hear a bit in the ghetto from the man himself, Elvis. This is a classic.
There's a snowflake on a cold and grey Chicago morning. A poor little baby child is born in the ghetto, and his mama cries, 'cause if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another little hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. People, don't you understand? A child needs a helping hand, or he'll grow to be an angry young man someday. Well, take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Or do we simply turn our heads and look the other way?
The Green Party have won the Denton and Gorton by-election. Labour in third place.
Breaking news that Peter Mandelson has now been arrested. So Mandy and Andy have now both had their collars felt.
What would Andrew Loney tell them to do?
To come clean, be honest. And if Charles is complicit in this cover-up, which I believe he is, then I think he has to fall on his sword.
When you define sex, what your gender or sex, what you mean is biological sex, and that's a man or woman, what you are physically, not what you think you are on a Wednesday afternoon.
Now, how does a VIP private suite for you and 11 mates for a day at the cricket sound this summer? Thanks to Pitch Experiences, we're sending you to their super box at the Oval for England v Sri Lanka, the one-day international in total luxury. We're talking fine dining, your own personal mixologist, private balcony, and a Q&A with cricket legends while you watch the action. It's the ultimate summer day out. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text £2.50, your standard network rate. The number to call 0343 418 7260. Lines closed Friday at 4. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK residents only. It's a talkSPORT promotion. Terms and conditions at talksport.com. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Simon, it'd be remiss of us not to mention this before we go today. Michael Carrick has earned 23 points in 9 Premier League games as Manchester United manager. Quite incredible. He's won 7 of them, drawn 2. It's the joint best start after 9 games by any manager in the competition's history, alongside Ange Postecoglou. Manchester United move up to 3rd in the process in the Premier League table for the first time since May 2023. It's one thing looking at that and thinking, yeah, brilliant. Is it too far to go to say Michael Carrick's now got to really be in the running for the permanent manager's job?
Well, yeah, I think he can be in the conversation. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. He should be in the conversation. He should be, they selected him to manage a team for 5 or 6 months. Then they can open their minds to whether he can manage a team in the bigger picture. Because it may well be that they've been a beneficiary of some serious luck, that they might have found a manager that can take them forward. There's a big difference between managing them in the interim, picking up someone else's slop, and then being able to be responsible for it in the longer term and build out a bigger future. Now, if you look at the results he's got, and there's some great results in there, certainly the Manchester United win over Man City and Arsenal are very commendable results. You look at the other results and you say to yourself, well, you kind of expect a Man United side to be in these games, winning these games. I would expect Man United to beat Crystal Palace at Old Trafford. I would expect Manchester United to potentially take some points off Everton, who can't score goals in their own stadium. I would expect them to have done better slightly against West Ham, but West Ham were slightly resurgent. I'd expect them to beat Tottenham, who are tepid at this moment in time. So in all of that, you have to get some context, but there are great results in there. If you beat Arsenal and you beat Man City, my thought process was, yeah, United go and get turned over at Fulham, but they didn't. They went and beat Fulham. Yeah. So there's a lot there that you have to commend, and you have to look at the way that they're playing. And the game against Man City, they were fabulous in that game. And there's been some really good performances. I thought the centre forwards come on now and scoring goals. Wonderful goal on the weekend. You know, Fernandes is doing what Fernandes should be doing, which is being creative. Maguire's playing well. The goalkeeper's playing well. There's a lot of players that have put Kobe Mano back in the side. He didn't have to have the baggage of whatever Kobe Mano did to offend Ruben Amorim. He didn't have that baggage, so he could play him if he wanted to.
Well, I was going to say, everybody's doing what they weren't doing under Amorim.
Well, it just makes Amorim look like a very poor decision, doesn't it? Every game that goes past that Carrick gets a result out of makes the Amorim decision look even more unfathomable, and also the more compellingly makes Amorim's approach more. You can't understand it, because you've got somebody that's come in, just seemingly put square pegs in square holes and gone play. Yeah. And out they've gone and beaten everybody, including the best 2 teams in the division. Yeah. Right, back to back. So with that in mind, you have to suggest that Amorim was what many of us thought at the time, which was a very strange appointment, someone that came into the UK, you know, photo-bombed West Ham and whoever else to try and get a job, ends up at Man United, and ends up with this perverse appreciation from the fan base because he seemed to be cocking a snook to the ownership.
You always end up with this photo-bombing at West Ham.
But it's not the credentials of a Man United manager.
No, I know. I want to finish with another familiar name this lunchtime. So much for Michael Carrick, and keep doing what you're doing, Michael. Who knows? You might well just end up getting that job, but it's a long way to go on that one. The name Gareth Southgate, Simon, does the name Southgate come with baggage? Would it take a brave boardroom to appoint him in the club game? Now, Gareth Southgate was speaking on the Football Boardroom podcast, Gareth Southgate. He's discussed whether or not he'd go back into football management in the domestic game.
I've got no passion to just go and manage in the Premier League. I did that at 35, finished 11th, 12th. Who's in those positions now? Probably Bournemouth, Brighton. I don't feel the need to just go and do it to say I've managed in the Premier League. I've had one of the biggest jobs in world football, so I've been spoiled. Huge nights, working with outstanding players, no owner interfering. Externally, people are saying, well, he didn't win, So how do you prove that you can win? You've got to go to one of those big clubs. Now we know those big clubs, like, do I think I could have done the job that some people who've been in those clubs recently have done? Could I do better? I think I could. But we've talked about the baggage that comes with me as an appointment if you're an owner. And there's a reality around, I can understand what that noise is. There's that bit that I think makes me potentially a complicated appointment for a club. And there's also the reality that I needed a period after England that consumed me for 10 years. I gave everything I had. I said to you, there were only two of us thinking about England 365 days of the year. That consumed everything.
Now, when you look at that and when you listen to it, I've had one of the biggest jobs in world football, the England job, so I've been spoiled, of course. Huge nights, working with outstanding players, no owner interfering, as people like you.
Yeah.
So he's not wrong in that. And he goes on to say, the bit that externally people are saying is, well, he didn't win. So how do you prove that you can win? Now, again, he's not wrong in that.
By having won. That'll give you a good indication if you're a winner or not. You didn't win when you were at Middlesbrough. You can cite them as finishing 12th and 11th in the league if you want to, but you got them relegated as well. And mediocre in the Championship. I don't think it's complicated, as he was suggesting, to employ Gareth Southgate. You're not an elite top six manager. So if you believe you are, then the only person that's getting complicated is yourself. And when you bring Brighton and other teams and Bournemouth into the situation and say, well, it doesn't really excite me, that's fine. That's your prerogative. It doesn't excite you, it doesn't excite you. If you don't need to work and you don't feel the necessity to work. But managing in the Premier League is privilege. It's an elite job. There's 20 of them in the Premier League. They're not very available, irrespective of how many times they get sacked. A globalised world of available candidates. You would be so lucky to be in a situation where you can turn your nose up at mid-table Premier League football.
Yeah, but hang
clubs.
on. There's a very good chance, as there not, Simon, that he would have done a better job at Manchester United than Amorim.
Well, it would seem that most people would appear could have done a better job than Ruben Amorim. But the credentials for Ruben Amorim was that he managed a team in the Portuguese league and won with that team, which gave him an opportunity to be considered to be a winner. If you've never really won anything in football, which Gareth Southgate hasn't, he's won some England caps, but other than that, he hasn't won anything. Did he win the League Cup? I don't know. Did he win the League Cup with Middlesbrough? Maybe he did. But the fact of the matter is, there's not a lot there's not a lot of winning record behind there, and you've managed.
As a player, he did.
Yeah, okay, you did. So managing the England side, where everyone to a man, if they've got any common sense about them, will say a commendable set of achievements from Gareth Southgate to make it better than it was, because it stank before, right? And here it is now. Did we beat anybody on paper at that time that we shouldn't have been beating? Oh, the Germans. You mean that husk of a German side that we beat that were absolutely crap? That German side, that's the one we're going to talk about. Who else did we beat? Well, we got to semi-finals and World Cup finals. Did we win them? No. Did we turn up in European Championships, get to two finals? Yes. Did we win them? No. So how is that a blueprint to say, with respect, a job that takes up 11, 12 games a year is any blueprint for saying a top six job with very, very different skills to be a domestic manager and an international manager? It's not complicated for those that actually will understand football. You're not an elite top six manager. That's not complicated. You're a good manager. You're a decent human being. You're a good man. Nothing wrong with those credentials. But to suggest that Gareth Southgate could manage at a top six club and actually prove the point that he couldn't prove when he was the England manager, which is the argument that I made repeatedly and you put to him when he was in the studio, which was, if you don't win something, then how can you be considered to be a winner? Is not just a fair argument. It's a coherent, cogent, factual, empirically backed up argument, which is you had 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 4, 5, 6 tournaments and massive opportunities, and you never beat any bugger that you shouldn't have done.
Okay. A decent human being and a good man. Could be you we're talking about, couldn't it?
Don't know. Depends who says that.
We're back tomorrow at 10. It's Monday lunchtime, and I'll tell you what, it's 1 o'clock.